Nope, that is the wrong thing, y'all. Come on. There we go. All right, really on the right monitor. I gotta change my camera because that also for some reason switched. There we go. All right, FPS looks a lot better now. All right. If you guys could let me know if you are able to how the camera and audio are synced, if it's like unsynced, or if it's very much like they're out of sync. Let me know. I'll try to fix it as much as I can, but I've been just having this issue a lot recently, and I really don't know why. It's been really annoying. But that being said, what a fun game, man. This was awesome to watch, man. I was having a blast watching this game. Yuki Kawamura absolutely just stole the show tonight. I mean, his best game is Summer League, which, I mean, he's had incredible games of Summer League the past 3 games now. So this was absolutely fantastic just to watch. Yuki just go out there and just pick apart that Jazz defense. He was just in control of this game from beginning to end. You know, he didn't start, but I mean, once he came in, we just saw all the passes coming through. The tempo was there. Biggest thing yet again for me is just always that he's playing hard defense. Like he's not going to be a great defender. He's short, you know. He's not going to have the size to ever be a good defender. But like we got to see the effort, right? And we see him sometimes like he'll come in and just like try to swipe at the ball and, you know, kind of sneakily get a steal. Appreciate any time he's just fighting over screens. It's not, you know, again, I don't expect anything great from him, but it's that part that I really do appreciate. But then, you know, you can be a good passer, but this guy, honestly, man, like his tempo is fantastic. He just gets the ball and goes. Most of the time, like I said, I think he's most of the time in control when he's running that fast break or anytime in transition. I think he's most of the time in control, and I love it, man. I love how he plays. So the Bulls have a decision to make, man. I really do think the Bulls have a decision to make. Because I think that Yuki's played too good to, you know, not get a 2-way contract. Like, if he doesn't get a 2-way contract from some team, I'd be really shocked. He's played too well, in the Summer League here. So I think he's gonna get a 2-way contract, but as we know, the Bulls have 3 2-way contracts already in place here. So I'm really interested to see if the Bulls might be willing to waive one person to go ahead and give them that 2-way contract instead. So we know that Jameer Young, Lachlan Ulbrich, and Emmanuel Miller had the 3 2-way contracts for the Bulls. So Jameer Young did play in this game, but then he left pretty early. But yeah, I'm really interested, man. This is gonna be interesting to see if the Bulls decide to keep him around. I think he played well enough to, you know, get a 2-way contract, but it's about if the Bulls want to keep him. But if it was up to me, I mean, with the way that he's played, I would personally choose him over Emmanuel Miller. I know that Miller just signed his 2-way contract just recently, so it would kind of suck for him, but I think the Bulls, if they're going to want to run the Windy City team like how the NBA team is run with high tempo, a lot of threes shot, like, I think Yuki is a perfect piece to that. So I think it's definitely something they got to really consider. So, interested to see if the Bulls are going to keep him around. If not, I hope Yuki does go and get that 2-way contract from some other team. He absolutely deserves it. He's played really well. He honestly was kind of like proved my doubts wrong a little bit. Like after those first 2 games, I was like, I don't know, man. Like I understand the hype around him, but there have been some kind of not so great moments from him as well. But I mean, these last 3 games have been spectacular from him. He's been really in control of the game at all points. Incredible passing as usual, but the tempo from him has just been outstanding. So I sincerely appreciate that part. So yeah, I'm gonna be interested. It's gonna be fun to see if they decide to keep him around or not. I think they really should. But Bulls go ahead and win this one at 105-92. This is the last Summer League game for the Bulls, and I unfortunately do not think that this was, I would call, a fully successful Summer League, if that makes any sense. I think a fully successful Summer League would have been that we saw Senge at least in 4 of the 5 games. Unfortunately, we saw him in 3. And the part that really is disappointing is just that I do think that Toronto Raptors game is just a game I just throw out the window from everybody, right? I think everybody in that first game, besides obviously for the coaching staff, I think everybody in that first game, you can just throw that game out the window. The Raptors are a completely different sort of team in Summer League, and they were forcing turnovers left and right against any team. So I personally do not really blame the players in that first game, which means then we kind of only got to see a second game, like 2 games, right? We saw him in the Kings and Pacers game, and then we didn't see him in the last 2 games. So unfortunately, because of that, I have to say it's not like a fully successful Summer League by the Bulls tonight, or through Summer League here. But I'm pretty pleased with what we did see when it comes from a second game. What we saw from Buzelis, Ulbrich was able to show a little bit here. And the two-way guys, unfortunately for the Bulls, so Ulbrich is one of them, right? But we also had, Jameer Young and Emmanuel Miller. Miller, unfortunately, missed the first 2 games. So that was definitely disappointing to see that Miller had to miss the first 2 games. And I don't know if he just even really felt right at all at any points playing in Summer League. Jameer Young had a very rough first 3 games. Let's just say first 2, though, because, we don't count the first one. Had an incredible game 4, which was the last game, and then he unfortunately only played 4 minutes of this one because he took a shot to the hip, I think, which then really limited his minutes today. So the main 5 guys that you had on either the actual NBA team or you had on 2-way contracts, a lot of them missed time in Summer League. So I unfortunately do not think this is what I would call like a fully successful Summer League for the Bulls, but when we did see the main 2 guys from the main roster in a second game Buzelis play, I think it was overall pretty solid. And then we got 1 really good game from Jameer Young, and I think that this is a successful Summer League from Ulbrich. I think Ulbrich had a really successful Summer League here. Little sad they didn't play in this one tonight, but I also do understand it from the team's perspective. So, got some opportunities for some of the other people to play, which was good to see. So, I don't know if it's really successful, but I think that there are some success stories in this one overall. And yeah, man, the Bulls got to make some decisions. I'm excited to see some of those decisions here. We got to finally see in this one, we saw Wooga Poplar, who's on an Exhibit 10 deal with the Bulls. I think he had some pretty nice plays in this one. We saw him hit some on-ball creation shots, and we also saw some really nice defense from him as well. On-ball defense and isolation positions, and he did a nice job. Caleb Grill by far had his best performance of Summer League. He had 18 points, a lot of 3 shot, which is good to see. He's not afraid to launch them, which is cool. But by far his best performance of Summer League. Obviously played the most amount of minutes he's probably played in a game. So cool to see from Caleb Grill. He's the other guy on the Exhibit 10 deal for the Bulls on the Summer League roster. And the other guy that I honestly think the Bulls might be, they should, I think, kind of consider throwing an Exhibit 10 deal to is Pereira here. I think Pereira, I tweeted out, and of course then he didn't really have the best performance after that, but I think Pereira has overall had a really nice Summer League for the Bulls. So he hasn't been a full-out standout, right? I think, the other guys have been more standout, especially like Yuki. But I think that Pereira has quietly had a pretty nice Summer League. We've seen him play the 4 and the 5. His rebounding has been pretty legit. He's had some really nice athletic moments. He can guard, decently well on the perimeter. We've seen some interior defense as well from him. I'm not saying, hey, throw him a 2-way contract. I'm just saying that, hey, if you want to maybe keep him around for the Windy City Bulls, which I think he, is a guy to maybe kind of keep around, highly athletic, can play multiple positions, and rebounds pretty good. So I wouldn't mind if the Bulls just kind of throw an Exhibit 10 deal at him just to see if he'd accept it. Exhibit 10 deals are training camp deals, and you're most likely going to get waived from it. But if you do get waived from that contract and you go play for that G League team for that NBA squad, then there's an incentive to play for that G League team if you're on there for a certain amount of time. So I personally think it'd be a good this idea just to throw, just kind of keep Pereira around the Winning City Bulls for this upcoming season, just to keep an eye on him, and we'll see how he plays. But I was really happy with how some of the other guys that didn't get as many minutes as in the previous games were able to kind of show some stuff tonight. We saw Romeo Weems have some moments, not exactly always great moments, but some moments. And Hickey, we saw, a nice layup made from him. Caleb Groh obviously had a really good one, as well as Wooga Poplar, I think, had a really good game. And then Muoka, our center that we have unfortunately kind of made a lot of fun of on this channel. He's had some rough moments. Still some rough moments with his hands tonight. Missed an absolute easy kind of alley-oop attempt from Yuki in transition. But yeah, a couple of nice blocks, I will say, and he got 10 rebounds. So, nice job from the guys that were able to step up and get some more minutes tonight. Javon Freeman Liberty, I think, had another good game. There's just still some of those moments, man, where I don't understand what he's doing. But, yeah, get him a little bit more off ball, and I think he's good. I appreciate what Javon Freeman Liberty can do when he doesn't have the ball in his hands constantly. The team ran through Yuki tonight, which is cool. Keep Javon Freeman Liberty off the ball more. I think it's a good kind of combo for him. But yeah, I think the guys did a good job tonight. Unfortunately for the Jazz, for us, I guess maybe, but we were not able to see a lot of guys tonight. Like no Isaiah Collier, no Filipowski. We even didn't even see Sonogo tonight, but obviously no Ace Bailey either. So there was a lot of guys missing for the Jazz tonight. But we did get to see Cody Williams, and he had a pretty nice performance, so that was cool to see. But nice job tonight by the Bulls and by the Summer League team. And then I'll give credit to the coaching staff again for tonight. I thought their defensive game plans were pretty nice against Cody Williams and others. So I'll give them the credit for this game. I still am pissed off at the coaching staff for Game 1 of Summer League. That was awful, and I was losing my mind in Game 1 of Summer League. But good job tonight. And, good job with the rotations. Got the guys in. What's going on, Rob? What's up, Doug? I just had to stop in. I'm still not done with the game, but it's turning out more fun than I would have thought it would be. I'll check out in later. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the stream or if you're watching the VOD, like, go watch the game for sure. I think this was an absolute blast game just to watch. Like, it's a Summer League game at the end of the day, right? But I think it was an absolute blast to watch. So, granted, I am a person that just loves basketball in general, so I can watch almost anything, but I think even for not all the people that are like, oh, Summer League, like I can understand some people like that, but I really love Summer League. So this was a very, very fun Summer League game in my opinion. Some Summer League games are definitely not as fun, like Game 1 for the Bulls against the Raptors. So go watch it for sure. I'm really happy. Really happy about this one, how it ended up kind of being. Again, Noah Sengier. No Buzelis, no Ulrich, no Miller tonight. So I understand why some people didn't really watch, but I think tonight was an absolute blast to watch. So I think it's definitely a really worth going back to watch this game if you haven't seen it yet. So yeah, we'll kind of recap a little bit more Summer League in this stream. Then we gotta talk about some other stuff that's been going on Bulls Twitter today. I'm in the middle of it all. A lot of people were responding to some tweets I sent out today. But yeah, there's some stuff we got to talk about when it comes to the Bulls NBA team and decisions when it comes to Josh Giddey. We got to get into that also tonight, and yeah, we'll cover a couple other things. We also last stream our last stream was before the Damian Lillard information came out, which is kind of crazy, and how that does actually relate to the Bulls, so we will talk about that as well in this stream. As Lillard is going back to Portland, which is kind of crazy to think about, but I guess honestly for him, it's not that bad of a thing for him. Getting paid a lot of money this upcoming season to not play, and he'd much rather just spend the time in Portland, I guess. But yeah, I think unfortunately for him, I don't know how much he has left in his career in terms of like all-star level play, because he had just had an Achilles injury, but that does relate to the Bulls in an important sense, so we will also talk about that in this one. But tonight is about Yuki Kawamura, and if the Bulls should waive one of their two-way guys to make sure that they can get this guy in a two-way contract. I know some people have been talking about bringing him onto the actual NBA squad. I don't think that the Bulls should be doing that. If Yuki is somehow able to go out and get an NBA contract, even like after his performance and everything, hey, props to him. Really happy for him. I personally would not give him an actual NBA contract right now. It would, first and foremost, it would require the Bulls to waive somebody, and the obvious guy is Javon Carter, but I think that if the Bulls are going to waive Javon Carter, I would like someone that's a little bit more kind of bigger and maybe even younger than Yuki signed. But I'd be completely fine if the Bulls gave him this two-way contract and they waived Emmanuel Miller. But again, we won't really know what exactly the plans are. But if Yuki does find a way to get an NBA contract, then hey, major props to him, bro. Go sign that immediately and have some fun with it. That's an awesome story if he's able to go and get an NBA contract and not be in a two-way contract. But I personally think that the Bulls should not do that. As great as he's played, I would not be someone to go ahead and give him that. But two-way contract for sure. I'd be all for it. If he's a guy we can go ahead and sign to a two-way contract, I'd be completely down. You know, he'll be in the Windy City on the Windy City squad for the season or most of the season. I think it'd be worth it. So I think the Bulls should do it, but I mean, granted, you would have to waive one of these two guys probably because you're not waiving Ulbrich, right? So yeah, make your decision. It'll be fun to see. Other things just to keep in mind. So I don't really know what exactly the thoughts are with Javon Freeman Liberty when it comes to this team. Obviously DePaul guy, so he has like the Chicago connection, and hell, I went to DePaul, so like I really want to root for him. But he was on the Windy City Bulls last season as well, and like yeah, he's a really good scorer. Like I'm not denying that the fact that he can score really well. It's just that we've talked a lot on this channel about how much that when it comes to Javon Freeman Liberty, he just has like this tunnel vision and he dribbles into traffic and puts up a wild shot sometimes here and there. So I think he's, I have to double check this honestly. I think he's eligible for another two-way contract. Let's see here. Yeah, he's only a 1 year. So yeah, he is also eligible for another two-way contract. He is soon gonna be 26 though. Like come the start of next season, he would be 26. So like as much as he's a scorer and like he's had some good years in the Windy City on the Windy City Bulls, like I just don't really think signing him to a two-way contract is really that worth it. He's had 1 year with the Toronto Raptors in the 2023-24 season, so I just really don't think he's really worth the two-way contract if it was up to me. So hey, if you want to go ahead and sign him to an Exhibit 10 deal, sure. Like you're most likely just gonna waive him. That's fine. So again, Exhibit 10 deals are training camp deals. If they are waived, then they'll most likely go and play for your G League squad, and because there's an incentive to play for that team G League team. So if he's on the G League squad, that's fine. I'm not gonna be tripping balls over it. But I think that signing him to a two-way contract is just, I don't really understand the upside of it. He's again soon gonna be 26. Like I think that there's just better options. This is also kind of the reason why like I wouldn't mind if Emmanuel Miller is also waived, because he's also on the older side, unfortunately. I always forget it's only 1 M for Emmanuel Miller here. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he's 25 this year. This is his age 25 season. But I know Yuki's also 24, but I think that I honestly think there might be some more upside with him right now with how he's played. We saw honestly in this game, bro. We saw the Utah Jazz in this game. They were blitzing Yuki off the pick and roll because they didn't know what to do with him. It's like the fact that this guy was hitting some step back 3-point shots and he was coming off the pick and rolls and he was launching the threes off the pick and roll. It's just, that was awesome to watch. And the Jazz didn't know what to do. Because if they switched it, he's too fast. He got around the defender against the bigger guy. If they tried to play like react and recover, it wasn't enough either. So like he would just kind of just shoot it. If they switched it and the guy that was the role defender was too far back, he would just shoot it. And so they just started blitzing him, and it's just like, damn, bro, like he's getting blitzed in Summer League. Like you don't really see that often. Like Summer League blitzing is just not a thing. And we saw this guy getting blitzed. So I honestly think that, as I know that he's also like, he's 24, so he's on the older side, right? But I honestly think that he might honestly be like, he might have a little bit more upside when it comes to like Emmanuel Miller, for example. He might honestly have that, because if he's gonna continue with the tempo that he's playing and then find a way to not be amazingly impactful defensively, just show some level of defensive effort that makes him not be like a traffic cone out there, then I mean, this is a guy that backup point guard is a very important position in this league, and if he can come in and find a way to be an effective backup point guard for his squad in his NBA career, I mean, that's a hell of a job by him. So, like, I won't lie, I don't really know what Emmanuel Miller is going to come in and do right now when it comes to his NBA sort of career. I understand he has obviously the bigger size and everything, but his time in the G League has also kind of been up and down. So, and he's also a year older. So I honestly think there's a way for Yuki to get into this league. So this would personally be it would be in my own decision to waive Emmanuel Miller and sign Yuki here. But yeah, it'll be interesting, man. But Yuki's just tempo is just so awesome just to watch, and I sincerely appreciate it. Yuki is dope, man. He's insane. Javon Freeman literally has still become a summer league legend. This has got to be his 4th or 5th summer league. Oh yeah. I think this is his 4th summer league. Yeah. Because he was on the Bulls summer league squad when I went in 2023. So that was he was there that year as well. I think that was his first. No, sorry, this would be his 3rd year then. Excuse me. Sorry, yeah, my bad. So that would be his 3rd year. Because he went to the. Sorry, he came. I can't speak. Sorry. When I officially left DePaul, he also left DePaul. If I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think this is his 3rd summer league. But yeah, a lot going on for him when it comes to summer league. What team needs a point guard? I don't know if it's necessarily about that. Like, what team needs a point guard? I think it's more so just kind of like, hey, where are we looking at in terms of like our. I guess it also would include kind of where your 2-way contracts are right now, because it's like if you do, I guess the problem is like if you have Jameer Young and Yuki, it's 2 point guards on your 2 ways, but yeah, I don't know. I think some people kind of look at it as like, hey, there's some potential in this guy, but maybe you are right, Viper Strike. Maybe some people actually look at it as like, hey, who needs a point guard? And maybe he can develop into some point guard for us eventually. But I don't know. I'd be actually kind of interested to know what some people look at when it comes to if they decide to give him a 2-way, because I do think that some teams do a really good job, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, for example. Like, they do a hell of a job where it's like they don't really look at team need. They just like go and just they go after guys that they think are really good guys to develop, and they use them as 2-way guys. I mean, Lou Dort is obviously a major success story, but like the Thunder have been notorious for just, they don't care about what the team needs. They just care about, hey, we like what you have. We're gonna hope to develop you. Here's your 2-way contract. We'll keep you on our G League squad. But yeah, I mean, I guess with Yuki, because he is 24, like, how much better will he actually get? And if some team maybe has a little less depth at point guard, then hey, maybe sign him to the 2-way instead. So yeah, maybe I'll have to look into what team needs a point guard. So like Orlando, which they just got Tyus Jones, but like Orlando, in terms of their point guard depth, is not exactly the best spot. But granted, I mean, they have Banchero and Wagner as their main ball handlers. One team I think that is kind of interesting to think about is Miami. Miami's a team that could maybe use him a little bit, but Tyler Hero seems to be their main guy moving forward at point. But backup, I'm not really too sure, honestly. So yeah, we'll probably take the time to look at it. I don't think you can have him off ball. His catch and shoots would have to be generational. Yeah, it is kind of interesting to look at, because when we see him shoot those 3-point shots, like, a lot of it is him kind of like creating space with the ball, and because he's like so fast, that he's able to create the space. But then obviously if he's going to be more off ball, then you're looking at like, hey, you need to be a hell of a 3-point shooter, one, but you also need to find some other ways to contribute offensively. And you're not going to be like an offensive rebounder, right? You're not really going to be setting screens too often because you're small. And so, like, what else are you then on the offensive end? Because the idea of you cutting also doesn't sound like a good idea, because you're a small target, and that means you have to finish at the basket, and you just don't really shoot shots at the basket that often. which I don't blame him. I mean, he's small. He's gonna get his shot blocked a lot if he tries to attempt layups. So, yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to think about. Yeah, I don't really know. The obvious answer for him would be to like, hey, like, can you play off ball a little bit? He definitely seems to be like he has to kind of be the backup point guard for some squad. That can obviously, if it's like a transition opportunity, like he can spot up for a 3-point shot. Like he can spot up for threes. It's just that he's not gonna be a guy that's gonna be running off of like pin downs and like trying to get the shot off because he's too short. Defenders could maybe block the shot too easily, but I won't lie, he gets the shot off pretty quickly. I give him that credit. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to kind of look into it. I think it'd be just a good option for the Bulls in the Windy City team. I can answer that point guard question. The Timberwolves need a point guard because Mike Conley's playing days are almost over. The only thing that I would say about that is just that like Rob Dillingham, like I think is gonna like kind of step up for them. And the other thing too is I think Anthony Edwards is just kind of like the ball handler there. Like even last season with Mike Conley still on the roster, like Anthony Edwards was the main ball handler. So like if you're saying like, hey, he needs to kind of slide to the Mike Conley role, like you're kind of putting him off ball. Like we're just kind of talking about like, can he really play off ball? Like it's kind of a question, if he could. But you are right though that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is gone. He went to Atlanta, so yeah, maybe that wouldn't be like that bad of a fit of just like two-way contract with the Timberwolves. And hey, if you need guard support, then you can bring him up at any point. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, especially if Anthony Edwards goes down at any point, then it would probably be good to maybe have Yuki on the roster. Doesn't rebound badly for a guard, especially for his size, but I don't think it's enough. Oh, I mean, yeah, I think he does enough. Like he does more than enough, at least in my opinion, when it comes to his rebounding. For what I expect from his size. That does not mean it's enough in terms of like, hey, can he be an impactful player consistently? But he honestly shocks me at how many rebounds he gets, because he's just out there amongst all the trees, and it's just like, oh wow, he got that one somehow. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to think. His passing, man, like he very clearly has a gift with his passing stuff. Like there are a lot of moments when, like, for example, like I'd watch guys beforehand. I'm like, well, hey, like I see this guy's open. I don't know if they notice it, but I know this guy's open. And you know, some of the great point guards were able to, you know, find those guys. And I'm like, hey, hell of a pass, man. Yuki, sometimes with him, like he'll make a pass and I'm like, I had no idea that guy was open. Like there's just moments where I'm like, holy hell, like that was the last place I expected the ball to go, and I'm like, wow, like that's insane that you just like threaded the needle and it's right there. Like he has this serious gift of being able to find those guys and put the ball right on the money. So yeah, man, I want him on the Windy City team, but he's got to do what's best for him. It'll be interesting. There are so many moments where I'm like, oh, he is driving on a dude, no way this is good. Oh, never mind, he found a guy. Yeah, it's honestly me a lot too. Like I kind of had to like change in my head after watching a couple games with him, because there were so many moments where I'm just looking at him, I'm like, okay, he should shoot the layup here, or like he should shoot a floater here, and he didn't shoot it. And then like he's attempting a pass, and like sometimes it would go bad, but sometimes, you know, it would actually be like an all right play. And I kind of had like changed that mindset of like, you should look to score right now, but he didn't. But he found a guy in a much better spot than I thought they would be in. And it worked out sometimes. So then obviously see in like games 3, 4, and 5 here, where like he's driving and like you can tell that once he realizes that the defense commits to him, like he is just bulleting that pass somewhere else. And that's pretty effective. Like he does a really good job of understanding when he needs to time it right. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely those moments where I'm just like, I don't know where he's gonna go with this. He just, boom, pass. There's even moments where he's getting blitzed, and I'm just like, how does he get out of this one? Because he's 5'8". Like, if you get blitzed by two guys that are 6'7", like, what are you gonna do? And he gets the ball out quick enough to make the right decision. So, yeah, it's incredible, man. I'm really impressed with it. So, I don't know, man. I hope he's here with the Windy City squad. But yeah, it, AK and his decisions at the end of the day. One thing I want to say though is this: I want to make this clear when it comes to Yuki. Like, as much as I love what we've seen from him, like, is he a guy that, like, you're like, oh, we can bring into like the NBA squad and he can like immediately contribute? Like, I don't think so. I do think that he does need more time in the G League. Like, last year was his first year in the G League. I really do think that he's gonna have to take some more time in the G League to kind of figure out his defensive role. And offensively, I mean, I still think there's always still room to grow. I was kind of critical of him earlier of like, hey, you don't really shoot inside the arc. We obviously saw a little bit more of that in like games like 3 and 4, for example, and then we saw some shots inside the arc today, but it was mostly outside. But yeah, I do think he's gonna have to kind of work on a little bit of like, hey, can I be able to finish amongst the trees and get a floater that's consistent, etc. So that if I am going to be a guy that's going to come in for like 12 minutes a night and be the backup point guard, then I do have that sort of on-ball scoring threat ability that even if I touch the paint, like, the defense is not just going to be like, oh, okay, we're just going to lay back and just wait for the pass, right? And again, he's done a hell of a job. I'm not saying like, oh, he needs to significantly improve or anything like that, but I do think there's still a little bit ways to go here. I am not one of those people that are saying that, hey, we should trade Trey Jones now and keep Yuki, and we have our backup point guard position figured out now because we don't need Trey Jones. I'm like, no, I'm not there yet. Trey Jones is a better defender than Yuki is and will be. I'm perfectly fine with Trey Jones being our backup point guard, and I think he is a much better player than Yuki is right now. But I do think Yuki has a world. Like, I do think there's a world where Yuki is a backup point guard in this league at some point. I'm just saying that, like, if you're one of those people like, oh, he can come and contribute right now, like, I don't really know. That's a little ambitious, at least in my opinion. Reminder that tonight that a lot of the main Jazz players were out tonight. And I do think that it is important to keep in mind with the Summer League squads. Like, there's a lot of smaller guards in Summer League trying to keep, their careers alive. And so Yuki had a guy to kind of guard. Not really that many sort of guys in the NBA, so I don't really know where he's going to be kind of placed on the floor defensively if he's out there in an NBA type of game. So I might have to go watch some Memphis Grizzlies games when he was playing. So I kind of have to think about like where would I put him, because the thing that, as much as like people think, oh, he'll just go on like the worst offensive player, the problem that you have to keep in mind is that if they recognize that, like, let's say for example you put him on a guy like Isaac Okoro, like, I know Isaac Okoro is on our team, but like, let's say you put Yuki on Isaac Okoro, the thing that Isaac Okoro can do is just go get the offensive rebound. Like, Okoro doesn't do anything on offense that much, and like, he's mostly just a 3-point shooter in the corner, right? So like, you'll definitely put Yuki on that sort of guy, but like, Okoro could just fight for offensive rebounds over Yuki in that sort of scenario. That's just kind of the only thing that's just you kind of have to keep in mind about it. So yeah, it's a tough kind of thing to kind of piece together for Kawamura's like future NBA career, but if he continues to get better in certain areas, then I mean, I think some team will definitely be willing to take a chance. Height, unfortunately, just is huge in this game. As much as I hate to admit it, it's a huge factor. But I mean, with every inch of height that Yuki does have, he's done a hell of a job with it. So I really think that he's done a hell of a job with what he has, and I'm extremely impressed. He's a lot better than a lot of other 5'8" guys that I've seen. Thoughts on Caleb Grill, a player not many are talking about. His college highlights look pretty good, maybe a sharpshooter in the making. Yeah, I definitely did not know anything about Caleb Grill besides the fact that people told me he could shoot the ball. But before Summer League, like, I had nothing. I had legit no idea what this guy was going to bring to the table. But yeah, to see Caleb Grill come into the Summer League games, and he is a guy that can get the shot off really quickly on the perimeter. Seems pretty comfortable also, like, coming off like pin downs to like get the shots off. That's good to see. We also saw a really nice dunk from him where he in transition reverse slam. So there's some athleticism in there. I just kind of look at him like, is he just kind of like Kyle Korver, or trying to be Kyle Korver-esque, right? Where he doesn't really do anything else. then it does kind of come down to a lot of him being just a really, really good 3-point shooter then. But, yeah, if he can show, some rebounding aspects or guard multiple positions, then I think that he can be a guy that can get some minutes in the NBA. Definitely a guy I would want to see in the G League first, though. So again, Exhibit 10 contract for the Bulls. So I hope he goes to the Windy City Bulls. I seriously doubt he'll make the NBA squad, but I guess there is a shot. But yeah, I really do appreciate the 3-point shooting from him. So continue working on that. The shot gets off pretty fast, so I'm not necessarily worried about that at all, but just you gotta work on the consistency of it. Spots up pretty good. Understands the spacing decently well from what I've seen. So work on like being, a better rebounder or better defender, and I definitely see a world for him. Ideally, it's like, let's say for example, he can somehow become like a Duncan Robinson, right? Where Robinson was mostly just a shooter, but we've seen Robinson evolve his game where like he can kind of put the ball on the floor at times and attack the basket off of like smart decisions. Robinson, unfortunately, has not really become a better defender, but he's pretty tall overall, so he kind of gets away with it sometimes. So maybe he's not exactly that, but something along those lines, right? Sharpshooting is always something that will be valued in this league. Hey, if we don't re-sign Giddy, don't mind spearing our offense and keeping Kobe off ball. I mean, yeah, if Giddy doesn't re-sign and we can do the full-out tank, then sure, yeah, bring Yuki along. Yeah, no, it just... That obviously is, first and foremost, the Giddy situation. If Giddy's not back, I'd be hella shocked, but I guess there's a world. If he doesn't come back, then I kind of would just give Kobe just the reins, honestly. And just kind of live with it, or just, start Trey Jones. But I'd be shocked, honestly, if Giddy isn't back at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm happy with what I've seen from Yuki, man. I'm really happy to see it. As another Asian man, like when Jeremy Lin was in the league, he obviously Linsanity happened, but like there was a whole lot of stuff also going around when it came to Jeremy Lin. When he got the Houston Rockets contract, there's a lot, like he got a lot of hate, right? And so I do think that seeing like Asians like in the NBA is awesome. Like I love that. And something like Jeremy Lin, Linsanity was a thing, but I also think that he really suffered from a lot of Asian hate when he was playing. And he got a contract from Houston that wasn't his fault. The Houston Rockets gave it to him, and he went on and like he had like an alright career, but he's getting a lot of hate of just like he got paid a lot of money and like he's not performing up to the level that we wanted in Houston. So I really want to see more Asian players in the league. Another guy's like Yuta Watanabe was a guy that I was always like kind of paying attention to. It's just like he's a major sharpshooter and everything, but yeah, to see like Asians in the league is just awesome. I hope to see more, man. Yang Hansen is he shut down for summer league officially, and he's had a hell of a summer league. So seeing more Chinese, Japanese, like we haven't really seen Korean players, unfortunately, and so as a fellow Korean, it's kind of that is kind of sad to see, but either way, though, I hope that the Asian representation continues to go up, because that's something that I want to see in the NBA, and shows how awesome the globalization has happened with the league. That's awesome to see. So yeah, I'm hoping this continues, man. So if Yuki's able to be another guy to like kind of break through, that'd be awesome. I hope it really continues, man. Actually kind of disappointed in scouts and not putting me on came from the Chinese big crazy pass. Oh, you're talking about Yang? Yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of disappointed, man. Like I did see some highlights, but like I was also just kind of looking at that. I'm like, I don't really know where Chinese basketball is kind of at the moment, so it's really kind of hard to gauge, right? Because you might see someone really play well in that sort of environment, but like I don't really know where the Chinese basketball level is, because it's just not a league that I really pay attention to. So it was kind of tough, and so I definitely thought Yang Hansen was gonna go in the second round, or like at earliest it would have been late first round. And so I do think that he is still, in a sense, like he is a little bit of a project because there's some levels to his game where it's gonna have to kind of, you know, get better with him. But yeah, his passing skills, man, like that's super valuable in today's world. If he's a big that can pass like that, open up the offense, like it's super valuable. So yeah, I'm definitely a little bit more I'm definitely a little bit more spiteful of like ESPN and like others for not really kind of showing as much like putting as much spotlight on him, I guess. Because we would get like a lot of spotlight from like other guys. Like Danny Wolf, for example, was a late first round pick, but a lot of people knew about him. Now granted, I do think that some people were kind of questioning he's gonna go like a little bit higher than like late first round, but like a lot of people knew about him, right? So like I do think that there's a lot of spotlight on some of the guys, but like we didn't really get as much on Yang Hansen. So definitely could have been better for sure. Not gonna lie, I know I hate on Şengün a lot, but it's mostly because he can't score. But if he was 20 years old, I like him a lot. Oh, I mean, yeah, I think if Şengün was definitely younger, then yeah, we would really appreciate Şengün if he was younger. Yeah, Şengün is just like, I mean, I think that even in general, I think Şengün's a very good player. It's just that, like, if you're Houston, is he your number one guy? Well, obviously not, because you just want to get Kevin Durant, right? But yeah, I think that Şengün, like, his skill set is definitely very valuable if you can make the team around him, you know, pretty good as well. But like, he can't be your main guy, right? So going a Kevin Durant is a very good decision because even though Şengün was your all-star last season, he's now doesn't have to, you know, always score as much. He can instead be more of a distributor in the offense and look to score a little bit more off of like guys like KD instead of having to kind of work for his own shots. So hopefully he'll be a little bit more efficient. Like if KD's able to take away the pressure off a guy like Şengün, for example, then like yeah, like be able to you know, take that pressure off of him, and then hopefully he's a little bit more efficient with everything. Then yeah, that'd be great. And obviously we would want Şengün to get a jump shot. That would be very, very good. Maybe one day you can join the other great under 6 foot players that made a name for themselves. Nate Robinson, Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb, yeah. Let's name a few under 6 foot basketball legends. I mean, Isaiah Thomas, right? Not the Hall of Famer, but the Celtics one. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd hope to see it, but it's a tough world, man. When you're that small, it's tough. You gotta do a lot to just stay on the floor. Because like, for example, like Nate Robinson and Yuki are like, they're pretty similar in height, right? Nate Robinson was 5'9", or listed 5'9", but Nate Robinson obviously had the extreme athleticism to, you know, finish better amongst the trees. Like he won multiple dunk contests, and you know, he just has more verticality than Kawamura is ever gonna have. Again, like with what Kawamura has gotten, or what Kawamura, like how far he's gotten with what he does have, it's extremely impressive already. When you don't have like that sort of like major vertical leap, and you don't have like the biggest wingspan in the world, like it's really impressive with what he's done. I think good Chinese players also get paid more in China, so there's always a good feeling he goes back. Oh, I mean, for sure, yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if like the NBA career for Yang Hansen's not really working out too great. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he goes back. That wouldn't be that shocking. I hope he stays, man. I think that there is definitely a world where he can be a really impactful player. But we'll see. I think Şengün to hit his free throws. That's definitely step one. That would definitely be step one for sure. Yeah. But I do think that he can maybe just in general just increase his efficiency. You know, take less shots but score more points. Be a better like interior scorer. Which honestly, I think I have to look at it with him. But I think he was pretty effective from the field overall last season. No, he wasn't. Okay, no, I'm thinking of a different year. Okay, I'm thinking of these years for him. So yeah, last season he shot under 50%. Like this is the problem with him, right? Like he needs to increase this. This cannot happen. If you're a guy that's gonna be playing the center and you're not obviously shooting the 3-ball consistently, which he needs to just kind of just get the three ball out of him if he's gonna shoot 23%. But if you're gonna be mostly, a rim runner and a guy that's gonna score in the interior, like, you can't shoot 49%. That's just not gonna work. He's gonna have to be significantly better and like get back to up to these numbers here. So again, hopefully KD can like come in and do that, and then obviously the free throws need to come along as well. Because we've seen, guys like they don't always go out and shoot from the perimeter, but they are good interior scorers as a big man, but then they shoot decently well from the free throw line. So under 70% from the free throw line is not great because he is one of the few guys in the Houston Rockets that get fouled consistently. The other guy's Amen Thompson, but he also isn't a good free throw shooter. So that's going to change with Durant in the mix. He'll get the most free throws, but Sengun's probably going to be second or maybe third, and he's going to have to make those free throws, man. He just has to. And shooting under 70% is not good enough. You got to make them. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. Reminder that he is only 23. That is the other important thing to just keep in mind. Like, he has time to definitely get better, but it is just important to keep in mind because it's just like the Houston Rockets have very clearly made a win now move. And if they're planning on, going all the way this season and beating the Oklahoma City Thunder, and getting out of the first round, then this is a guy that has to improve his game, right? He's for sure someone that's gonna have to come in and just continue to show like, hey, I'm still improving. His assist numbers are great. Career high in rebounds last season, fantastic. That's cool to see. But increase your efficiency. That'd be great. That's a good step forward. All right. Do we have anything else we want to talk about from this game? I think I've kind of gone over it already. So, but if we want to talk about anything else, let's go ahead and type it in the chat now. But overall, I'm fun, really fun last Summer League game. Like, this was a very, very fun last Summer League game to watch. So, again, if you have not watched this game, go watch it. It's a hell of a time. The Yuki show is on full display. Just in general, though, just a lot of good play for the Bulls, which is finally good to see. Finally, some games in Summer League have not been great from the Bulls. So to see like really good play and then kind of like blowing out a squad was really cool to see. So yeah, go on and enjoy this game if you haven't watched it already. I think Poplar and Caleb Grill had their best games of Summer League, and I think they were pretty good. So appreciate them with that. Appreciate these guys, getting some time and they're able to show out. So happy about that. You have a high bar for Sengun because people compare him to Jokic, but Jokic has never shot under 80% in the free throws. You don't need to be Jokic to be playable, but still, I agree. Yeah. I really think that like when people ever say Jokic, right? Like even for like Yang Hansen, right? Like they say like Chinese Jokic, right? Like, yeah, no one's ever gonna beat Jokic, but what makes Jokic just so insane is his efficiency, right? Like the dude's gonna shoot over 50% from the field in general. He's gonna shoot like 40% from 3-point range, and then obviously be a great free throw shooter. So yeah, if people are gonna be comparing Sengun to Jokic in some sort of sense, right, he's gonna have to increase his efficiency, and especially from the free throw line. That alone will help him consistently get 20 points a night because he's that good. Yeah, it's high expectations for sure. But yeah, he's gonna have to increase his efficiency from the free throw line. Bull's gonna mess up this offseason with the Gideon negotiations and the weird trade rumors. So, okay, perfect transition. I appreciate this, Woodage. So, if we're officially done with the Summer League talk, I do want to transition to this next part because I am very much aware that a lot of people think that this is just like, hey, overreactions, etc. Fair. I think it's fair if you want to say that this is just an absolute overreaction from some people, but at the same time, I do think that when it comes to someone like Kenny Beecham, that there could be a world where like he actually does have some sort of source on this, and I really do think that some people look. I understand that there's always a bunch of accounts out there that like claim to have sources, or be like an insider when it comes to this sort of stuff. But Kenny Beecham is a guy. If you don't know who he is, he's a YouTuber. KOT4Q is his YouTube account. He has 1.4 million subscribers. He's been around doing NBA content for a long time now. He's a very big Bulls fan. He has a podcast that is called Numbers on the Board. And if you're wondering how legit the podcast is, he's had Shams on the podcast. So if you're questioning the validity of his podcast and like how much these guys watch basketball or anything like that, like there's just that for you, okay? Now this was what was going around on Bulls Twitter this evening or afternoon into the evening, or honestly it's just kind of all day, but mostly afternoon into the evening. This post right here. So Kenny has an alt account and he just kind of randomly posted this today, and you know, a lot of Bulls fans do follow him when it comes to his alt account, and we got to see, you know, some Bulls fans screenshot this because obviously his account is privated, so you can't just like quote tweet it, but we saw people screenshot his alt account tweet here, and it's like, what is this? Like 4 years 110, and a lot of people are like, what is this tweet about? And many people immediately went to is this the Josh Giddey contract? And maybe Kenny has a source that told him that the Bulls are close to an agreement with Josh Giddey, and you know, finally getting out of the restricted free agency whole limbo situation here. Look, I have made it clear in my post about this that like this could just be clickbait by Kenny. I'm not entirely sure, but this really went around on Bulls Twitter today, and I was part of it for sure. But if you're ever thinking about like who should I trust between a guy like Jake Weinbach, who's a guy that consistently tweets out stuff as if he has sources, and he does not have any sources. He's a guy that is not reliable when it comes to this sort of stuff. Or you want to trust a guy like Kenny Beecham, who has had podcasts with Shams Charania, and he's interviewed the Inside the NBA crew. He's been around for a while. He's been on ESPN. Like, this is a guy that he's not just some random Twitter account that claims to have an inside source. Like, he's a guy that is around this league, and is a very familiar face around this league. So I just, you know, the way I just kind of look at it is that I just wouldn't be shocked if he does have a source. It could 100% just be nothing. This could just be Kenny trying to spark some clicks or spark some, you know, outrage or whatever, or honestly just to throw it out there and just see the reaction of people. Like, it could honestly just be that from Kenny. It could also be what he wants from the Bulls and Giddey, right? Like, maybe this is what he wants from the Bulls contract and Giddey. But if, let's say, this is the contract, and I made it very clear in my post that I said if, right, then I do think that this is a bad job by the Bulls, which, if you're wondering just the overall math of this, I mean, it's 27.5 annual average salary. So the idea is just that if, let's say, Giddey gets this contract, then I'm like, this better be a front-loaded deal, which means that he'll get paid more in the year 1 and less in year 4. Ideally, also, it's a team option, but in general, I think that this is not a good decision. If the Bulls somehow compromised with Giddey, negotiated with Giddey, and this was the deal that was agreed upon. Again, nothing's been confirmed. This is just speculation at this point. We're not really sure. But obviously, it's been a while. I mean, we're now at the, you know, basically the 19th of June or July here, and we still don't have any sort of results. For some people, they're just like, holy shit, this is taking forever. For me, I am not that shocked at all. This is not shocking to me, honestly, because I think restricted free agency, especially when there was less money going around in the NBA, this is just kind of what happens. So, if I'm trying to remember correctly, last offseason with Isaac Okoro, if you're wondering, I don't think he signed until August, if I'm not mistaken. Just really quickly, I just want to see this. He didn't even sign until September. So if we're really thinking like, oh, we need to get this done quickly, I mean, hell, Isaac Okoro and his restricted free agency went until September, okay? So to see stuff like this go on forever, like, it's not that shocking, okay? And unfortunately for restricted free agents this year, there is just no cap space, so they're just going to continue to hold out. again, though, let's go back to this. If this is the contract, okay, let's say that we find out tomorrow the Bulls and Giddey have agreed to a 4-year, $110 million contract. I think this is just a mess up by the Bulls. Again, 27.5 annual average salary. That does not mean he'll get 27.5 million per year. It might be a front-loaded contract. It might be a back-loaded contract. Who knows? But it really is, at least in my opinion, I think the Bulls have failed. Big reason why is this. If, let's say, this is the deal, then I'm just confused at what team was willing to offer this to Giddey. Like, I don't see a team out there that is willing to create the cap space to go and give Josh Giddey $27 million right now. Like, I don't see a team. There is no team that has that current cap space. And for the teams that could create the cap space, I don't understand why they would do it. The only team that really could create this cap space, at least in my opinion, is the Utah Jazz. But that would actually really hurt their future if they would go and create this current cap space right now. So I don't really understand why this would be, or why the Jazz would be a team to offer this to Giddey. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a team that's willing to offer this to him, but I just don't personally see it. But if you're the Bulls, okay, and there is no team offering this to Giddey, why would I give this to Giddey and compromise with him right now? There's legitimately, for me, there's no reason for this to happen. If it was always in my head, let's say if I was AK, okay, my goal, no matter what, when it came to AK, is that you need to get this to $25 million or less, okay? Once you understood that Giddey was not going to be offered any contract at the beginning of free agency, which he has not been offered that, and till this day, we're now 18 days into free agency, and he still hasn't been offered a contract, then you should understand that you have the leverage. You have a serious amount of leverage in this situation, okay? Giddey and his camp really want 30 million, and I'm just like, okay, well, you want 30 million, that's an overpay, that's very much an overpay. Let's get this down, okay? Let's get this down closer to 25 million for negotiations. So that to me is just like, that's the starting point. If you can't find a way to knock off 5 million annual average salary with your current position as AK, I think you failed. Giddey does not have any leverage in this sort of scenario to turn down $25 million a year. He just doesn't, okay? Now, I understand everyone is claiming qualifying offer. Like, Giddey's just going to take the qualifying offer and leave. But let me put it to you this way for everyone to understand, okay? If Josh Giddey takes the qualifying offer, which I think is $8 million, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's $8 million, okay? That is $8 million for this upcoming season. That would be year 5 for him, where he's making like $8 million or whatever it is, okay? It's still, again, it's significantly less. But that puts Josh Giddey a year behind when it comes to his career earnings then. Because his plan was to get paid in years 5, 6, 7 bare minimum, ideally also for years 8 and 9, okay? But if you take the qualifying offer and you're basically on a rookie scale contract for year 5, then that means in years then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're then trying to make up that money that you lost in year 5. Because the whole goal was to get paid in year 5, right? And if you don't get paid in year 5, you're then behind. Yeah, you're behind a year. So let's say if it is $8 million, if I'm the Bulls, I'm saying that, hey, here's $25 million, okay? And you turn that down, that means you're turning down $17 million in total money. So that means that your next contract that you're going to go and sign, you're then $17 million in the bin, okay, down the drain, compared to where you really should be, okay? If, let's say, for example, Giddey is... If the decision is between, hey, we wanted 30 million, but instead I'm only gonna get 25 million, okay, but we wanted 30, okay, that was the goal. If you take the qualifying offer and then you don't go ball out and have an insane season, then you're still gonna be way behind the 8 ball, okay? If the goal was 30 million and you don't go ball out the next season, you're way behind in terms of your career earnings. You're just way behind. You just are a year of that 1 year is a whole thing on your plate of like, we gotta catch up, okay? So I personally I don't understand the whole idea like, oh, Giddey's gonna take this qualifying offer and he's just gonna, you know, try to like claim I'm gonna leave in unrestricted free agency. I think him taking the qualifying offer is a very, very risky move. The more recent players to have taken a qualifying offer have not had it go well for them. You're also then obviously risking like, hey, you could get injured. There's potential for you just to not have the same success you had in February, March, and April, okay? there is a serious chance that taking the qualifying offer really blows back in your face. All right. I think that to make this clear, okay, I think that this is a very different scenario compared to where if some people think that, hey, like, for example, like Jimmy Butler, for example, going into year 4, the Bulls offered him a contract. He said no to it. And then obviously he went and had an all-star season, right? And then the Bulls gave him a max in restricted free agency, okay? That's a very different scenario compared to what's happening here. Okay? Giddey did not have an all-star caliber season. Again, we're talking about all 82 games here. All 82, he did not have an all-star caliber season. He just didn't, okay? Therefore, then, it's not like you're going to be able to go out into restricted free agency and get that big contract, right? And then you taking the qualifying offer also puts you in a pretty tough spot because it's now year 5 instead of year 4 for you, okay? So again, you're going to be behind on your earnings if you take that qualifying offer. So I just think that it's a really rough spot if Giddey's going to go ahead and take that qualifying offer, like for him specifically. I think it honestly, if you're ever wondering about like the fear when it comes to the Bulls and the qualifying offer, for me, I've been adamant that like, hey, if Giddey takes his qualifying offer, I am not scared. Like, I think that if this is all really about money, which it is at the end of the day, right? The Bulls can offer Giddey the most amount of years and the most amount of money out of all teams, okay? If, let's say, Giddey takes the qualifying offer and he goes and has an all-star caliber season, okay, I am not afraid to go ahead and just pay him whatever he wants. Like, that, to me, that's perfectly fine. If you're paying an all-star player that you know is an all-star heavy money, I'm like, that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that sort of pay. Like, I'm fine with that outcome, okay? But what I'm not okay with is you overpaying him this offseason, which then affects your books for next offseason, and with the salary cap going down for next offseason, I don't want any sort of overpay, especially because you're overpaying Patrick Williams as well here. Like, if you pay him this offseason and he goes and has a bad year, okay, then it's a serious problem if you overpaid him, because then there's no chance that you're able to move him, right? So I'm okay, honestly, just to take the risk that, like, hey, if you want to take the qualifying offer and try to go ball out on the qualifying offer, and you want to go and try to, say like, hey, I'm gonna threaten to leave an unrestricted free agency, I'm just like, sure, I'm okay with it personally. I don't think that he'll get a big contract if he goes and has a similar type of season like we saw this past season, because the salary cap is significantly less than what we thought it was supposed to be for 2026-27. Therefore, less teams are going to be less willing to throw big offers to any unrestricted free agent. But also, he's just not the main target in free agency in 2026. Like, he's just not one of the main targets. Like, teams are planning to have cap space in free agency for 2026, but he's just not one of the main targets. He's just not one of the main guys. So I think it's honestly, like, I'm willing to risk it. Because I think that is honestly just so important that the idea, or the problem of overpaying him and then, like, let's say he has a bad year, is like, that to me is more like, oh crap, like, this is a serious issue. Like, that's so big, at least in my opinion, that I'm much more willing just to risk it, just to see if, like, hey, if he has an all-star caliber year, pay the man, okay? But he didn't have that. So I'm just at that point, though, when it comes to, like, the whole Giddey discussions, because I know a lot of people have been discussing it. It's the reason why I'm at this position is because I don't see all-star caliber in him, okay? I see starter caliber, but there's times where I look at him, I'm like, there's times where I'm like, I don't know if I can even call you a quality starter. And there's times with him, I'm like, yeah, you're a pretty good starter in this league. But I don't see him being one of the top 12 players in the conference, even with all the injuries that we have seen in the Eastern Conference for this upcoming season. I just don't. So because of that, that's the position I'm taking, right? Now, if you're someone that really thinks that he has all-star caliber potential, then you're just basically saying just pay him now, right? Because you think he's going to suddenly become an all-star maybe next season or the year after, and so then we don't have to pay him the max contract in, you're like in 2027 for 2026, for example, right? That it would be less money. For me, though, right, the way I personally just look at it is just that if he wants 30 million now, that's 8 million less than his max that he can get for this upcoming season, okay? if he's gonna say that I'm gonna take the qualifying offer and then you better pay me the max, right? Well, like if I'm gonna pay him the max, it's just an $8 million difference in general. Okay, now obviously next season will be a little bit higher, but it's not like a humongous difference. Okay, he can still only get 25% of the salary cap next offseason. It's still the same rules, and that number just went down for him because the salary cap also just went down. So I think it's fine. I honestly just think that it's not really even a discussion, at least in my brain. But I know a lot of people have a completely different opinion on him and really do value him. But in my opinion, I think that what the Bulls so far have done is correct. I think that everything they've done so far is the correct decision, and they need to continue this holdout. If this is the contract and we're hearing about this today, I'm pretty upset. Like this is not enough. I said this needs, like, if you get it to 25, I'm just like, okay, you know what? It's even territory. It is what it is. Like, we move on. I said anything 24 below, the Bulls I think did a good job, or honestly it'd be more like 23 or below as the Bulls did a good job. But 25, I'm like, okay, this is probably where I think you really need to get it to. I can maybe live with 26, but 27.5 AAV is too much, at least in my opinion, with where things currently stand. I think giving Giddey $26 or $25 million a year annual average salary is not being disrespectful to him. And a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's just $2.5 million. I'm like, well, we've just lost $5 million from this salary cap. Okay, this was projected to be $170 million. We lost $5 million. So yes, I do think that saving $2.5 million for a team that will never go into luxury tax is actually pretty important, y'all. I actually really do. I understand a lot of people just are like, nah, you're acting like Jerry. I'm just like, well, for a team that is actually being stupid with their money and they don't want to ever go into luxury tax, then I do think $2.5 million does matter. I really do. You have, as a team, less flexibility because you're not going to go into luxury tax. You just won't. This shouldn't be a discussion, but we're the Chicago Bulls. So if this team is supposed to make a good team, then saving $2.5 million might actually be really, really important. Okay. I really do think that's something that is actually that important. But we will agree to disagree at the end of the day. If you are going to really argue against me with that. So when he's injured, apparently, yeah, he has a ligament issue with his wrist. He's getting surgery. Going on, Darius, 4 years, 110. Yep, this is just a rumor. It's not confirmed. It's just Kenny Beecham just kind of threw this out there today, and we were all just like, holy shit. Like, I'm like, that's not what I want to see if this is actually if he actually has a source, but it could just be Kenny clickbaiting. So we'll see, man. Giddey's near triple double point guard who gets his numbers in the flow of the game. He's a go-to score for him to do all that though. But that's my problem though, Woodage. It's just like, I don't really care if you can go and get me 10, 10, and 10. Like, if you're gonna be a guy with the ball in your hands most of the time, then I need you to be a main scorer. I need you to be one of those main guys. Like, ideally, you're a top 2 scorer on your roster. The fact that he needs a guy to be a go-to scorer to me is a problem. Like, I'm not gonna pay you then if you need a guy to go and score for me. Like, that's just not gonna work. That's the reason why I'm just like, I'm not gonna be paying you $30 million. So, figure it out. You have to understand that right now because the salary cap is projected to be lower, and the CBA, with the second aprons and everything, like, dollars do count right now. Teams and players have to adjust. And I think that this whole idea that Giddey at $30 million is a steal, people are just thinking, they're not thinking about the current CBA and the current salary cap situation. So I just don't think you are. I think 25 is more fair, and I think that if Giddey turns that down for the qualifying offer, I think that's a ridiculous decision. You're turning down a lot of guaranteed money if you're turning down 25 million. But I'm not his agent, so yeah, figure this out, y'all. Figure this out. You have to figure this out at some point. Worst case scenario, what happens if he takes a qualifying offer, balls out when we lose him next summer? So, I mean, look, if he does go and do that, okay, if let's say he decides actually to he goes and becomes an all-star and then he decides to leave, that to me, this is not about money then. Then I'm really questioning like what the hell the holdup is. Because if he goes and balls out as an all-star, and then he decides to leave for a team that's offering him less money and less years of guaranteed money, then I don't know what the whole holdout was here. Like, this is just absolute flat-out stupid by Giddey to then make this holdout then. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Because if this is actually about money, which I think it is, and he goes and takes a qualifying offer and balls out, the team that could give him the most amount of money is the Bulls, and the most amount of years is the Bulls. So I don't really understand why he would just kind of just suddenly leave. Because again, the whole idea is money. So, hey, you are just an all-star caliber player apparently on this current roster that can offer you the most amount of years and money. Like, you would be absolutely ridiculous if you just suddenly left that squad. There's just no reason for you if you're Giddey to leave. So, yeah. Because here's the other thing too, if you kind of think about it. If let's say he goes and has an all-star season on the Bulls, right, where he knows he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, and he's going to get a lot of those opportunities, right? There's no guarantee he's going to have those same opportunities for whatever team he goes to then, right? There's just not. Like, I just don't think there's any sort of, there's just nothing that can promise me that, oh yeah, you're going to go to like another team and have the same opportunities and go and be an all-star caliber player as well over there. I just don't see it. So that's the reason why I'm just willing to risk it. I think that if he takes a qualifying offer, I'm like, all right, cool. You saved up some cap space this upcoming off season, and we'll pay you what we think is right. At the end of the day, you could leave, but I'm willing just to pay you as much money at that point, because then we've used up our cap space, and we'll probably get to a better deal that's not an overpay for him. But yeah, I mean, it could be wrong. I mean, I was wrong about the Patrick Williams contract. I was wrong about other things. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. But that's just my overall thought process and problem solving skills going through. And that brings up another interesting question. What would we consider a lowball offer for Giddey? So the rumor is, the rumor is that they're $10 million apart. So do the math, right? It seems like the Bulls are offering him $20 million a year. Giddey wants $30 million a year. So I'm just like, just come to the middle. Just get to 25. But Giddey really wants 30, which is just insane. So if maybe you consider $20 million a year as a lowball offer, I don't think that's really that low, because I think that fair value is $25 million for him. So if you want to consider that lowball, I'm not really sure. If you want to, go ahead. But to me, that's not really lowball. That's definitely a more team-friendly deal, but I don't think it's a lowball. In terms of what's definitely a lowball, I mean, like, just over the mid-level exception, which is about $14 million. Like, yeah, that's definitely a lowball. Here's the thing. There's no other teams that can even offer him that much money, okay? Like, even us offering him $20 million is us being generous, because no other team has $20 million in cap space right now. But even knowing that, I've been saying, like, yeah, offer him the 20 and just let it sit there. And then once he then eventually brings down his asking offer, then we can come meet in the middle. So whether it's 22, 23, 24 million, like, that's more fair. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see at the end of the day. Bulls should have offered 20 million with some incentives. So here's the thing. I don't think Giddey's camp would accept that. Like, if you're Giddey's camp, you're not accepting that deal. You want the guaranteed 30 million, because, if it's a whole incentive play, unfortunately, some incentives, like, kind of, it's all dependent on how well the team performs, right? And there's not, I don't really know how much faith you have in the Bulls to suddenly be like a playoff caliber squad. But some incentives, really do rely on, hey, do you go out and, lead this team to like 45 victories this upcoming season, which it's not necessarily just him, but like, he could go and ball out, but if the team overall just sucks, then he won't hit the incentive, right? So I don't think his camp's going to accept that. The way that I think that there could be a major compromise is just that you offer him the 3-year contract where, let's just say it's like 26 million a year, but you front load it. And then that gets him to 7 years of playing time. And then he can hit unrestricted free agency again after 7 years. And then that's when he's eligible for 30% of the salary cap. So he'll hit unrestricted free agency earlier. It won't affect his career earnings that badly. And, Bulls can have a little more team-friendly deal. But I don't think incentives will work, personally. I would love for that, honestly. Like, if it's 25 million with incentives, sure. But I don't think his camp would accept it because it's too dependent on the others. The other part of incentives also could be like, you know, how many games you play, what's your health situation, and like you can ball out for 40 games, but if you miss the other 40 games, it's just like, oh, like you won't hit the incentive. Like that's, you know, so that's just the other part about it too that's a little bit hard. So if it was up to me, yeah, I definitely do it, but I don't see it happening from Giddy's camp, unfortunately. Yeah, hold the mid-20s is part, so everyone doesn't come to hate him relative to the contract with Patrick. Well, I mean, he obviously then has to go and play well, because if, let's say, he gets $25 million and then he has the months like he did in November and December, then everyone's just going to hate him, because it's just like you played well to get your money, and then you're not playing well after you got paid. So it is also dependent on him, but let me be clear. If, let's say, he gets 30 million, I'm more pissed off at the Bulls than I am at him. Like, that's not his fault. That's just the Bulls being stupid about the situation. Incentives could be based on individual milestones too, like making all-star team, first team All-NBA, etc. They can, right? But what did I just talk about? Like, first and foremost, first team, or more specifically, when it comes to all-star selections, right? When it comes to all-star selections, a lot of that is based off a team record. Like, you don't, like, there's a lot of players that actually play pretty well on pretty crappy teams, but, like, you're not going to get selected as an all-star if you're just part of a bad team, right? So that's not in Giddy's full control if that is an incentive, right? Like, let's say he's playing an all-star caliber level, but he just doesn't get selected, but it's because the Bulls have a, you know, under, like, 8 games under 500 record. That's not his fault, but he's played well, but the team just sucks, right? So I unfortunately think with those two awards, it's still kind of team-based, and I don't think that his agents and his representatives want to go that route, right? I think that they're more concerned about, if there is an incentive, it would be like, all right, how many, like, what did you average in terms of points per game this season after like a certain amount of games? That would have to, it would have to be something along those lines of like, hey, did you go out and like, you know, did you average like 18 points per game over at least like 55 games? Then like that would have to like be the incentive or something like that. I think honestly that's kind of where it would have to kind of go towards. But are the Bulls going to be willing to offer that? Probably not. I won't lie. I wouldn't offer it. It isn't a 30 million player by odds though. No, I agree. But the Bulls front office is stupid. I still feel at least a few mil can be bridged with Bulls sign off on Giddy to play NBL in offseason, so that will add salary to him there. It'll give him more promo money and get some play. Still though, I think Giddy's representatives just always want him just to get paid for his NBA time, but we'll see. Yeah. The incentive that makes sense for him is his 3-point percentage at a certain shots average. I can maybe see that. Yeah, I know Mo Harkless had that one year. Yeah, for sure. So something along those lines. Yeah. That would definitely be a little bit more individual, right? It is still a little bit team-based just because it's just like, you know, how many open 3-point shots do you actually get, right? Do the players pass it to you enough when you're open? How many like contested threes were you forced to take or whatever? But yeah, that would definitely be more individual. I can get on board with it. But you want just need to accept the injury risk? I mean, yeah, there's obviously that. Yeah. Incentive includes shooting a certain percentage from 3, for example. Yeah, it could. Yeah. You'd have to. It goes off of like how many attempts did you take throughout the year. So that does factor in games, right? Like you have to meet a minimum certain amount of attempts. So you have to play enough games to hit those attempts for sure. And you obviously have to make enough. So yeah, there are definitely incentives that are like that. Still though, the risk is obviously injury, right? Because if Giddy gets injured, that's not really in his control, and so then you don't always hit that incentive. But I think honestly I'd be okay with that if he's able to, you know, go out there and Like he shot 38% from three last season, so do that, but you have to hit more. Sure, yeah. These incentives would be production based, like 16, 8 or 8, or 17, 7, 7, 65 games. That number is still the only thing is just that number's hard to hit, right? In terms of like the games played, because I mean we see many people that don't qualify for all NBA selections because they don't get to that number. Giddey obviously played that many games last season, but we also saw him, you know, he missed a couple games, right? That wasn't in his control. So, you know, he played 70 of the 82. So like if he misses, you know, 6 more games, then all of a sudden he doesn't get it. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to look at. I think that I do like the 3-point shot incentive a lot. I think that's a good idea. Again, like will his representatives accept it? I don't know. I have some doubts about that. Yeah. So let's all make this clear one more time. Look, I have been adamant about this when it comes to Giddey's free agency, and I've said this consistently on my Twitter, and I've said this consistently on this channel. If a team offered Giddey a contract, and let's just say it was for $28 million annual average salary, right? I am willing to match it. I would definitely just go ahead and match it immediately. Like, that makes perfect sense. But very clearly that has not happened yet. So I don't understand why then, if you're the Bulls, that you need to compromise with him now to his 30 million. Okay, I'm willing to compromise once he's come down from his 30 million and we can talk more around the $25 million range, right? But if he's still dead set on $30 million annual average salary, then we don't need to talk. We'll just wait then. If you could go and find a way to get that money, go ahead and get it. We'll match it immediately. But he's not getting that right now. So I'm willing to take this as long as possible. I am willing to take this as long as it takes. There's a deadline obviously where it's like you gotta, before training camp starts, you gotta agree to a contract. But like I am willing to let this go out for as long as it needs to take here. I am aware that there's this whole idea of negotiating against the 2026 offseason where there's a lot more cap space and he's gonna be unrestricted free agent. But like I said, I'm willing to take that risk for him to take the qualifying offer and just basically dare him, be like, all right, yeah, go ball out, and we'll pay you what we think is right in 2026 then. And I'm even then willing to even overpay him at that point, just because it's like, okay, well, we're not going to go ahead and, like, you know, pay you your $30 million now, but you better then go and have a really damn good season if you want to make up that money that you lost in your qualifying offer year. And then I'm even willing just to pay you just slightly more when you hit unrestricted free agency, because we'll use the cap space that you allowed us to keep with the qualifying offer in 2026, and then we'll pay you your money because we can go over the salary cap with your bird rights then. So okay, I'm okay with this, honestly. And it's probably just because I think that a lot of people look at Giddey as an all-star potential player. I just don't, right? If I thought Giddey really did have all-star potential, then I'm saying that we need to get this contract done. And I would not risk him going into, you know, unrestricted free agency in 2026. I would not risk it. But because I don't have that sort of idea in my head about him, then I'm more willing just to take the risk. I'm okay with him you know, potentially getting paid a lot more if he does end up bowling out in 2026 if he takes the qualifying offer, because then I'm okay if he goes and becomes this all-star caliber player and I'm like, hey, we'll just pay you the money then, like, here you go, right? But I don't have that feeling. So that's the case then I'm just like, all right, well, figure this out, guys, because I don't really think he's gonna take the qualifying offer. You're gonna be way behind on your overall career earnings if you do. And again, there's always the risk, but if you really don't, if you don't have that much faith in you becoming an all-star, if you're Giddey's camp, then I feel like you holding out on this is just really stupid. I don't understand why they're still holding out on this. Was there quite a few expirings in the Portland pick? So yeah, the Portland pick is important. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. The expirings are very important. Definitely want to keep those around. You know, the Isaac Okoro add-on is not helpful because, again, we lost salary cap space for this 2026 offseason. We didn't even do anything. And then you added 11 more because you traded Alonzo Ball away. So I really wouldn't eat too much more into this unless it's like you're going to keep somebody here. that is on the younger side. So maybe an IO extension, or if somehow, some way you can convince Kobe White to take his extension, then by all means, yeah. If Kobe White's going to take the 4-year, $80 million contract extension, then by all means, we'll gladly offer that to him, and we'll pray that he accepts it. But I seriously doubt it. But yeah, we got to keep the expirings here. That Portland pick is something that I'm definitely hoping that will soon convey. It won't convey next season, at least I don't think it will. I think it would have to require a pretty epic play-in run by the Trailblazers to have it convey next season. But with Lillard officially going to Portland, which was a major news that we did recently get, let's just say I'm definitely interested to see what's going to happen with Portland. They seem to be all kind of bought into this idea of, hey, we're trying to win now, which I don't really understand. I thought they were kind of building a nice nucleus in there, and young nucleus of guys, and Avdia, had a pretty all right end to the year. They got Tumani Kamara, and I know Scoot Henderson's had his issues, but hopefully he can maybe turn a corner. They had Donovan Clingan over there, and then they just added in Yang Hansen, and so I'm just like, I don't really get the move for Portland itself. For Dame, I understand it a lot. You're gonna go and rehab where your family is, where you spent most of your career, and get paid like $70 million this season. So you get paid $70 million to not play, and you get to go and have a rehab in comfortability. So that makes a lot of sense. But ideally, what this does do for the Bulls is that maybe it's not this season, but next season, right? Then you have the Blazers be a playoff caliber squad. Then, yeah, the Bulls would then officially finally get that pick in 2027, which would be fantastic. The Bulls, this Blazers pick that has been traded to the Bulls, that is lottery protected, it goes through 2028. If it does not convey, then it turns into a 2028 second round pick, which would be very, very disappointing. But I'm hoping that eventually this Blazers squad will be a playoff team in the next 4-ish seasons, right? Or no, it'll be 3-ish years, excuse me. And we'll eventually get the pick here. Ideally it's this upcoming draft. I mean, I think the 2026 draft is insane, so I would love for it to be this upcoming season, but I seriously doubt it because Lillard's gonna be out the entire year. So 2027, that'd be great. My only thing though is just that I don't know how much Lillard has. Like, small guard, sort of relied on his athleticism. I understand he's a great shooter, but what made Dame so special was the fact that he's he's just blazing fast with the ball. He's a very explosive finisher when he gets to the cup. Obviously that explosiveness has sort of died down a little bit, but if he's lost all of it from this Achilles injury as a 35-year-old, then it's pretty devastating. So I don't really know how much a lift this gives Portland in terms of like, oh, can we become a playoff caliber squad? I hope it gives them a major lift, but we're not sure. So, them getting Drew Holiday's weird, but he should help win games. And we'll see how the others kind of work out. They got rid of DeAndre Ayton, so that's cool, but I'm hoping guys like Avdia, Shaedon Sharpe can take a major step forward so that they can become an actual playoff caliber squad in the West, which is very difficult to do. How much can Utah offer again? So if Utah decided to suddenly become a cap space team, they can offer around 22 million. They could then get it to be higher if they would stretch and waive Jordan Clarkson's, they waived Jordan Clarkson, but they have to stretch his contract out. Then they can get it to 27 million-ish around there. But why, at least in my opinion, I'm just why would the Jazz do that when it's most likely just the Bulls just match it anyway? So you're basically, if you're the Jazz, if you stretched and waived Jordan Clarkson's contract, then it's you're basically just doing that and hurting your own future for the odds of that are very slim of getting Giddey away from the Bulls, which is just almost next to none. So you're basically just hurting your future for no reason. But again, the Jazz have not become a salary cap team yet. Okay, they'd have to go ahead and renounce their traded player exceptions, and one is pretty massive. So I don't see them suddenly just becoming a salary cap squad. It doesn't make much sense. So I don't think the Jazz are a threat, honestly. I know some people do think that, but I just don't think they're a threat right now. I'm still in the making an offer for Zion camp. Ooh, interesting. Zion Matas dunking on people sounds intriguing. I don't love it just because I don't think it would. I think it's another sort of kind of you're skipping steps area for the Bulls if they went and traded for Zion. One, how much would it cost? There's that issue. But I think if you go and trade for Zion right now, you're skipping steps. Like I already know the Bulls, I guess, are already doing that, but at least in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. I think you're skipping steps and you're getting a win now player when I don't think you need it. But I guess if the Bulls are going to try to win now, then that would be an interesting move for sure. I just seriously worry about Zion's injuries and everything. I understand that you could just kind of, if he has a really bad injury issues, and you could just kind of waive him the next season and his money comes off the books completely. But I would personally not give that. I would not really give up anything just to get Zion on the roster. Bulls don't have any extra picks, right? They just have their own in Portland. So, and that Portland pick's not even, confirmed to convey. So I personally wouldn't think it's worth it. But Zion Matas definitely sounds fun, but I question the ceiling of that squad as well. They're gonna get that I'm Coming Home song tribute home opener. I mean, yeah, for sure you should get it. What do you think will reach a deal first? Cam Thomas, Giddey, Quentin Grimes, or Kuminga? I think that you'll see it's either going to be Quentin Grimes or I think Cam Thomas. Unless the Bulls are stupid, unless the Bulls actually just kind of cave into Giddey's demands, then you'll see this get done quickly. I just don't think it really should happen. I think Quentin Grimes is actually pretty important to Philly, so I think they'll get that done. I think that's important. Cam Thomas is definitely interesting. Brooklyn has a little bit more kind of flexibility with how things are kind of working with him. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see how that's going to work out for them. But I think all those guys, though, if I'm being dead serious, I think all of them need to bring down their asking price. Like, I think it's honestly insane that they're asking for like 30 million plus. It's just like, that's just insane. Kuminga is not getting that from the Warriors. Like, I don't think he's going to ever find a way to get that. Kuminga and the Warriors need to find an agreement on a contract and then trade him later, because that relationship's definitely cooked. How do you feel about Yang Hansen? I love what I've seen from Summer League. He's impressed me in Summer League. Love his passing. Has a good feel for the game. Portland's definitely interesting for him to go to because they have Klingon there. But I'm definitely interested to see how many minutes he's gonna play and how he's gonna develop. Offensively, I do like his upside. I have some questions defensively, though, obviously, but I've been pretty impressed with him. Yeah. What about you guys? If you guys could kind of think about it, like, anybody else? Because I won't lie, I haven't watched too many other games from Summer League. I catch games here and there, but like, once I knew like Dylan Harper and then kind of shut it down, I was just like, okay, I'm not really gonna watch too many other games. Who else? Who are some of the guys that kind of shocked you or like you found intriguing that I guess maybe aren't on the Bulls? Because I would like to know, because I didn't watch that many compared to like obviously like 2023 where I watched like almost every game. Yang Hansen might maybe a little overhyped at the moment. Not awful, but also not the Summer League highlight that is getting enough chatter to be. I honestly think from what we've seen from Summer League, I think he's getting the right amount of hype. Like, I think there's obviously some major questions about him still, but to see what he's done so far, I think is honestly it's been pretty good. Can you sign and trade a restricted free agent for another restricted free agent? How hard is it? It's really hard, because both teams have both teams have to worry about base year compensation, and the player obviously that's being sent out it's half the contract you can only take back. It'd be pretty difficult. So like I know there's like that whole rumor about like Kuminga and Giddey are supposed to go to the Bulls, and then AK spoiled that plan because they traded Lonzo for Okoro. So I know that now people are like, oh, do we trade Giddey for Kuminga instead? But unfortunately for me, both those guys are guys that I don't really love either of them in terms of paying them a lot of money. But it'd be pretty difficult because base your compensation for both those players, and then the teams receiving them they can only take back half of what they sent out, right? So it'd be pretty hard to kind of fit it all in, especially for the Warriors specifically because they're close to the first apron, so it'd be kind of difficult for them to figure it out. I think it's crazy. Players look at Raptors pay sheet for how much they want. You want that money, you got to live in Canada, buddy. I mean, it's honestly insane. Like, the Manuel Quickley contract is definitely an overpay. I hate for people to just kind of get that realization now, but it's an overpay. And, you know, I think that someone like Kobe, for example, can definitely use it in their favor, right? But for Giddey right now, in terms of restricted free agency, it's just not, it's too hard. ACB had a good game the other day. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I know Baron J had a really nice start. You know, he filled out the box score with his block shots and everything. But I also, you know, I didn't really catch that many games after for him. Very interesting to see. Like, you know, Carter Bryant is a guy with the Spurs. Like, he has all these defensive highlights, but like we also then saw like a lot of just like the offensive struggles from him. Which that was obviously going to be a thing with him. I kind of knew that. So it'll be interesting to see where he kind of ends up in his career. But I think Nick Clifford for the Kings had a really good summer league. I know some people in the Kings camp are calling him like he's going to be a future star. I'm just like, okay, well, not sure about that. You know, he's one of the older guys in the draft, but I know a lot of people were really liking what they saw from him. Like, what are the tax rates in Canada compared to the US? It can't be even close. Honestly, I don't even know. Yeah, that's honestly a really good question. Let's look. In Toronto, compared. Someone smarter is gonna have to do this for me because I keep getting a bunch of like about corporate tax and I mean, I'm just I don't know. Google AI is talking about 14.5% to 33% in terms of income tax for Toronto. But again, someone smart is gonna have to be telling me this. It's hard for me to kind of figure this out on the fly. Someone probably has a better number than what I'm personally seeing right now. Summer League shows which second years have found their flow, which have not to me. I think that it's a good kind of gauge, right? Like, I think that there is a bit of a correlation between, like, if you're a second year player and you have good success in Summer League, right? It's a pretty good correlation that you're gonna have a pretty good kind of NBA career. Now, granted, again, we saw Patrick Williams, right, in his year 2 have a good Summer League, but then he hasn't been great in his NBA career. But reminder that he did not play in Summer League in his first year, so maybe he's an exception. But I do agree with that. I think you do want to see the year 2 players kind of show that the game slowed down for them a little bit, which is good. There's fans out there who want you can make the roster too. Oh man, I know there's fans out there for it. Like I said earlier, I am perfectly fine with the 2-way contract. So if you want to waive Emmanuel Miller for Yuki, I'm fine with it. In terms of him coming in and being one of the guys in the 15-man roster, as much as I love him, I think there's a better ways you can maybe use a roster spot. Like, if you're gonna waive Javon Carter, I want you to go and get someone else besides Yuki. But I know a lot of people just look at it as like, oh, small guard for small guard, perfect. I personally would just rather sign Yuki to a 2-way, let him play in the G League for most of the season. If you need him, you can call him up. Have him work on some things, because he does need to work on a few things to kind of really solidify himself as a backup NBA point guard. But I'm definitely cool with him sticking around on the squad on a two-way contract. Shows more for second years or older than the Rooks. I agree, yeah. Filipowski for Jazz seems ready for those backup center minutes that will open up this season. Filipowski did have a really good summer league for sure, yeah. Really puts the Bulls didn't take that pick from Memphis for Lonzo. We could have had a Sengun and Danny Wolf. Yeah, it's always the thought, right? Definitely pissed off about that as well. I mean, I won't lie, yeah. Yeah, I hate how much this Bulls team doesn't value picks right now. I'm also feeling Hawks had some nice swings made showing through with the lengthy wings around Young. Hawks and Pistons to make jumps this season. Those are definitely the two teams that are probably on the radar. For me, I really do have the Magic going up higher. Like, I know that they were the 7th seed, but I think they're gonna take a pretty big jump here, as well. Granted, again, we should be expecting like the Pacers and the Bucks to not be as good. Also the Celtics to maybe not be as good, but I think the Celtics will still actually be pretty good. But I think Magic, Pistons, Hawks should be the teams that most teams are looking at as like major jumps in the East. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those three teams, and then I mean, I feel like Miami is due for a good year, so I feel like Miami's gonna find ways to be decent somehow, which doesn't make any sense, but they'll find a way. For sure. Bulls at a second rounder. Would you be okay with them selling the second rounder? What are you talking about, Darius? Like, are you talking about this for next draft, or are you talking about what they just did in this past draft? Because the Bulls had a second round pick this past draft. It was the 45th, but then we sold it back to the 55th pick, and that was so stupid. I feel like the top 3 is they look for injuries. I'm not ready to say top 3, but I do think that they'll be top 5 for the year. Oh, sorry. I completely read your thing wrong, Darius. Like, I thought you said a second round pick. You said second first rounder. Would you be okay if we sold it? For me personally, no. I would have used both picks. In the first round. Like, I definitely would have used both picks, unless obviously, let's say you're able to trade back in the first round, and then you got another, like, a future first round pick, in a later year, then I would do that trade. But in terms of selling it, in terms of like, oh, we'll trade out of this year's draft, and you know, unless it's like a really good offer for future drafts, like I personally wouldn't have sold it, because I think it would have been like 17th, right, or like 16th, right? I personally think you would have gotten someone good, because then there's no guarantee that you're gonna be that high up again. Do you want the Bulls to use all 3 picks? I would have then not done what they did with the second round pick and have I would have traded the second round pick for future second round picks, which is what I wanted the Bulls to do anyway. But instead they traded it for cash, which is stupid as hell. And then yeah, I'd be okay with just waiving Javon Carter for the other roster spot, or you know, you would have traded someone else off the squad. Like, maybe you would have traded Lonzo Ball for, you know, picks instead of Isaac Okoro instead. Like, all I would say is just that I think the roster idea from the front office would be in a different spot, where it's just like you're not thinking of, hey, like, how can we fill out the roster to get better this year? You're thinking of, hey, how can we just keep the young potential and you know, move off the vets easily. So like, I think that other guys like Lonzo, for example, I mean, he would have been traded at the deadline, right? Marcus Smart would not be on this team right now, right? Or he would be actually. So either way though, it's just like there'd just be a different mindset with how things would be run, and I think you'd have the roster spots. I would have used the 2 first round picks, and I would have traded the second round pick for a future second round pick, or you would have drafted and stashed or something. That's fine. How far do you think the Spurs will rise? Honestly, I mean, the Western Conference, bro, is tough as hell. So, like, I think the Grizzlies fall a little bit. I mean, like, if you're wondering about any of these teams, for example, like, they're better than Portland, they're better than Phoenix, they're better than the Kings. Dallas is definitely interesting, for sure. But I'm going to say they're going to be better than Dallas because they won Irving for most of the year. And so, I think no matter what, they get up to 9th. Then it's just a question of, like, are they going to be better than the Grizzlies? And I think they will. But after that, man, I won't lie, it gets really tough. I still think the Warriors are going to be good. Timberwolves, you know, we saw the Timberwolves make it to the Western Conference Finals and they have 49 wins. So, don't know if we could really say that they're going to jump. I mean, maybe the Lakers take a step back if LeBron's really hitting the decline. But I think the Clippers got better. So, I'd say 8th at most. That would be kind of my best bet. Seventh, maybe, yeah. Clippers fall, but I guess they overachieved last season. Well, I think the Clippers got better. Like, again, this is definitely assuming if Kawhi Leonard's healthy, but I think the Clippers got better this offseason. I see them being better than GSW2, actually. Oof, okay. I mean, I guess there's definitely a world if GSW doesn't make any big moves here. Like, I mean, Curry is, like, this was Curry's age 37 season. So, like, he could decline, right? I guess there is definitely a world where Curry, you know, this will be his age 38 season coming up here. Like, yeah, there's a world for sure. I honestly, I just don't think Curry's slowing down. That's the only thing for me. And as long as Curry's gonna be able to play at least like 65 games, I think the Warriors are still gonna be good. And Clippers better than 8th sounds right. I think the Clippers got better. I really do. Again, this is definitely assuming if Kawhi Leonard's healthy, which is definitely not something you should bet on. But if that team stays healthy, I think they got better. If Wemby stays healthy all year, they're dangerous in my opinion. Oof. My only thing with when it comes to the Spurs right now, and granted, I think they've done a good job, but I don't know if they have enough shooting right now. Like having Fox, Castle, and Harper now, like they're all three of those guards that kind of need the ball, but they all are not really shooters. Now we saw the Spurs, they added in depth for the front court, right? So it's not going to be like, oh, Wemby or die. But I do think that there are some holes still. Getting Olynyk was huge. They got Cornette, which I think was also a good signing. I really do worry about their shooting though, especially in the backcourt. I mean, we're talking about you need like a really, really like MVP level season from Wembanyama here, and then, you know, the other guys, you know, like the De'Aaron Foxes or you know Stephon Castle needs to take a leap or something like that. So I don't know. I have some doubts, unfortunately, for them, in terms of like really, really suddenly becoming like a major threat in the West. I think people forget how good the West is sometimes. Like, I think this Spurs team's definitely gonna take a massive leap, but I don't think they're gonna suddenly go into like Timberwolves category or something like that. Bulls would be so happy in the West at the moment. There would no chance of accidentally getting to the playoffs or play-ins. Oh, I mean, Bulls fans would be happy. The Reinsers would be pissed. Curry and Butler both just need to make postseason healthy for them to be a threat. Obviously, yeah, you gotta make the postseason, but you gotta win enough games in the West, right? Like, if you only win 44 games in the West, you might not make the postseason. Like, that's how insane it is right now. There's a pretty weird team build wise. I agree. How do you feel about signing Imani basically two-way? I mean, yeah, sure. How young is he? Honestly, I don't know how old he is right now. Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be down. Just what? I guess let me look at his G League stats before I actually give you an official answer here. But how do you think signing someone like him to a two-way over like, you know, Jameer Young or Emmanuel Miller makes a lot more sense for sure. I would much rather sign someone like him to a two-way than keep those guys around. But I think Jameer Young kind of saved his job, but we'll see. Well, let's look at the roster. Is Kelly Olynyk their best three-point shooter? I think he might be. It might be Vassell, but I don't really know what Vassell shot last season. I mean, 36.8%. What did Barnes shoot? That's actually a good question. Those Harrison Barnes. Okay. So, I mean, like, I'm assuming Harrison Barnes is going to start. These are 4. And then, like, I mean, Vassell, the thing is that last season, Vassell came off the bench. Actually, he started more than I thought. Okay, so I guess it would be Vassell and Barnes at the 4 and 3. And then you figure out who, like, De'Aaron Fox is starting, and then you figure out the other. Which I know Fox had, like, a pretty alright year shooting-wise, right? Oh, no, he didn't. Okay, no, I'm thinking of this year. Okay, yeah, like, this concerns me. I mean, we've seen Fox have better years shooting wise. And then, why did I go back to the Bulls? What the hell? What did Castle? I don't know what Castle shot last season. I mean, obviously, you know, rookie of the year, right? Yeah, this is my big concern. I mean, if it was up to me personally, I'm starting Harper, but we obviously know Harper isn't known to be a good three-point shooter. So that's kind of just like my biggest thing, but maybe they have enough. You know, Wembanyama is just that insane. I mean, he shot it pretty well, all things considered. Well, I went to Spurs would have to give up to, for say, like Jordan Hawkins or something. I mean, they have the picks to get him, I think. Yeah. Two-ways are so useful and vastly unused by the Bulls. Oh, for sure. I completely agree. OKC continuously shows the league how it's done. I mean, I legit brought this up earlier, Charles, about how much I want the Bulls to use their two-ways better. Yeah. I thought Fox was their best shooter. No, Fox is definitely not their best shooter. No. No, Fox is very much a slashing type of guard. He's more John Wall than, you know, a guy that's gonna be able to shoot off the dribble at the three-point line. Yeah, Fox is interesting for sure. I just, like, if he's not gonna be that much a three-point threat, and then you have Harper starting and he's not really a three-point threat, it's just like, I do worry about the spacing a little bit, because then it's just like, how does Wembanyama get his stuff? But I mean, granted, he got 24 points per game last season, and you know, he didn't have the best spacing out there either. So yeah, he might just be that insane. It might not matter. But you forgot about Barnes. I think Keldon Johnson's a pretty good shooter too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's just that Keldon Johnson, I think he's not starting at this point now. Like he was very much like off the bench a lot. Actually, he did not have a good year shooting wise last season. Dear Lord. Like, I mean, like this is by far his worst year shooting wise, but it was not a good year shooting wise. Holy shit. Okay, this is yeah, I mean, this is the reason why I am definitely a little bit scared, but maybe Wemmy's just that good. want to quickly see. Well, come on. No. Stats, teams. I just want to quickly see how. Oh, that's preseason. How the Spurs shot last season. Yeah, they were 20th last season. There's a 3-point percentage. They shot about 43s a game. They shot it at 35.7%, which that could definitely be better. In general, though, for them, I know it's like obviously only had 46 games in Wembanyama, but let's see. Offensive rating was near Bulls level. Defensive rating could be pretty solid. No, it's not. I forgot how shit their defense was, honestly, last season. Even though they had Wembanyama, their defense was just so bad. This number will definitely be better, for sure. This number will be better. But I forgot how bad their defense was, honestly, because it's like, it was kind of like the Rudy Gobert effect, where it's just like, yeah, you have a hell of a shot blocker, but if you don't have good perimeter defenders, then you're still just gonna be a bad defense, right? Might be, but Fox is good at mid-range. Usually, it's a lot of spacing maybe than the Bulls. So sorry, I jumped on. Like, I mean, nah, it's just I knew San Antonio had like struggles 3-point shooting last season. I forgot about Barnes for sure, but like Wembanyama was like a humongous part of their offense from everywhere. And so like when he went down, like the amount of threes I would watch, and I'm just like, it's just like brick from them. Yeah, so that's just my main concern with them. They're gonna have to make sure their 3-point shooting is good. Keldon Johnson can't shoot 31% again, or 32% again. Devin Vassell is pretty good, right? So is Harrison Barnes, but it's their backcourt that I'm more concerned about, where it's like neither Harper or Fox are shooters, really. Fox, you're right. Fox definitely in the mid-range with his, mid-range pull-ups are pretty solid. But like Stephon Castle's not a shooter, really. Yeah, they'll have some decisions to make. Like Sohan, like, I mean, I think Sohan, did a decent job last season, but he's also not a shooter. I mean, Carter Bryant had good percentages, but he didn't shoot a lot in college. So, like Julian Champagnie, I think was a good shooter, right? Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that actually like shot it pretty well, so maybe he'll get some time. They're not gonna bring back Chris Paul, so yeah, I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. Yeah, I think in terms of the original question, Charles, like I think 8th is where my guess would be. What is someone actually good at again? He's pretty versatile in terms of like his defense. Like we've seen him guard 1s, we've seen him guard 4s. He has decent ball handling for a guy his size. The problem is just that the offensive game is just everywhere right now. It's just so inconsistent. He doesn't shoot it well. His free throws, he shoots it one-handed. So it's not consistent there either. Doesn't really have much of an offensive game in general. Tries to do a little bit too much, like kind of how like Aaron Gordon was with Orlando. Like he would kind of do a little bit too much with the ball. Granted though, I think the Spurs kind of put him in that situation, right? Like they had Sohan play some point guard, the past couple of years, because they just wanted to kind of see like how well would he play with the ball in his hands more. And so that was kind of like just like the goal. I don't know if I call it a success, but it's definitely an experiment for sure. But I mean, like, I think they value his defense enough. Unless I see a team with so much hope, has some big flaws, it still is hoping its players grow into. I mean, yeah, like they obviously the Spurs have a lot of flaws, but it really helps when you have a Wembanyama, like your future MVP on your roster, and then they still have picks that they haven't used up yet. Like it's just you feel in such a much better spot. Like they have flaws that, yeah, you're hoping that some of the younger players can like help fill in those gaps. But I mean, when you have 2 rookie of the years in a row, and then a number 2 pick in Dylan Harper, who I honestly think could be a franchise changer, it really helps make you feel pretty good at where you are. So yeah, they have some flaws, but they're just in such a better spot that I envy. Not a bit rookie year Ben Simmons, like defensively. Yeah, much weaker with size without passing. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, yeah. I think they want to make him a Ben. I don't know if they wanted to make him a Ben, but I think they wanted to like get him some more on-ball reps just to kind of see if he can become like an on-ball type of player. Hasn't really turned into much yet, though, unfortunately. He has a long ways to go. Honestly, I think that now, you know, with Wembanyama in the mix and you have Fox, you have Harper, like, you don't need him to be on ball. He needs to just work on his three-point shot and be an effective off-ball player. Like, become like a Rui Hachimura, for example, right? Like, he can definitely become a Rui Hachimura, but, like, you know, it relies on him getting a three-point shot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. But yeah, I'm jealous of where the Spurs are at. Forgot, honestly. Okay, we talked about the Giddey thing again. I know that that's always the biggest talking point for a lot of people right now. Yeah, I think that honestly, for when it comes to the Bulls right now, the only thing that was I had on the books today was this, and we talked about it already. If you're ever interested about draft picks to just kind of see it easier, I always go to Real GM. Just type in Real GM NBA, and this is just a lot easier for me just to kind of soak in. Like now they also added this in where it's just like, okay, let's just go to the Bulls, for example. Like you'll have right now, like at this current moment in time, right? You'll have your own, and then you'll see like if you don't have it, and then if it's yellow, it's like you could have it, right? You could have a pick. Now I won't lie, like stuff like this sort of shit, this confuses the hell out of me still. This is very tough for me to kind of figure out, but hey, if you're Cleveland, you at least know that you'll have a pick. I'm sure if I just took the time to read this, I'll figure this out, but I just don't want to read this. It's a lot of words. So, go to Real GM if you're ever interested in like draft picks, for teams. This is kind of always, I think, the best website for it. For next season, we, do not have a second round pick currently. And then, we are going to have our own pick unless we obviously trade it, and then we could have Portland's pick, but I seriously doubt it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is just because that, let's say Damian Lillard is back for the 2026-27 season. That means that season correlates to this draft year, and ideally Portland makes the playoffs then. So I'm hoping Portland can make the playoffs in this year, because then if you did not see, it's not in here, but Lillard, I think, has a player option for the 2028 year. So, like, I don't really know if he'll still be on the Blazers at this point. He'll be 38, I guess, or 37 at that point. So I don't really know why he would leave. But again, it's just like, I don't really know how much Lillard has in the tank. Like, I want to believe that he can still come back and be Damian Lillard-esque. But at age 35, getting an Achilles tear, it's pretty rough. You know, back in the day, this ended your career. So I don't really have much faith he's going to come back and be, like, you know, sort of similar to what he was, but maybe he can provide some sort of boost. Like, I don't think the shooting's going to go anywhere, but I don't think he's going to have the same explosiveness and same speed that he once had. So, but we'll see. I'm hoping Portland can somehow find a way to the playoffs in the next 3 seasons, because then the Bulls will get a pick if they do. So if Portland ever makes the play-in tournament, we need to be the biggest Portland Trailblazers fans in the NBA, because that will help us get a pick if they can make it through the play-in tournament to the playoffs. So that is important. Any other hosts or two-way slots can always wave and switch them easily. So I did say earlier, Charles, like, I think Yuki honestly deserves a spot for a two-way spot. Now, it might not be with the Bulls, but if the Bulls want to keep him, which I honestly would be completely fine if they did, I think that you need to waive Emmanuel Miller and just sign Yuki to that spot. I'd be really shocked if Yuki does not get a two-way contract from any team, though. Like, I think he's going to get one after how well he's performed the last 3 games. So that's definitely something the Bulls need to do. I like Ulbrich. I liked what I saw in Summer League, so, you know, keep him for sure. And then you can make a decision on Jameer Young. We saw in Game 4 of Summer League that he can still go out and get buckets. But he is 24. So now here's the thing. Yuki is also 24, right? So I understand then it's just like, are you really kind of using him to become, you know, or develop him? I just do think there is a world where he can become a backup point guard in this league. It's a long path, but maybe if no other team does offer him a two-way contract, then you can maybe get him to an Exhibit 10 deal and waive him and then have him be part of the G League for the Windy City Bulls. That'd be probably the most ideal situation, but I think he gets a two-way. I honestly think that I do think there is a world where he can become a backup point guard at some point in this league. I just don't know when and what hurdles he fully needs to take, cross over, but we'll see. I'm gonna be interested in seeing what the Bulls do with it, because they waived Sonogo for Emmanuel Miller. I didn't love it, but I understood with Sonogo, like, he is also kind of getting older and like he was injured, so I kind of understood some of it. I just think Emmanuel Miller is on the older side right now, and he didn't have a great summer league, so I'd be more inclined to waive him right now for someone younger. So if you waive Emmanuel Miller for Amani Bates, I think that's also okay. Like, I think that's also fine. You won't sign Yuki probably then, but I think that's also okay. They gotta make some better decisions though with their two ways, because those are valuable. Do you think an Achilles tear would hurt his game much? It didn't hurt KD too much, but then again, KD's incredible. So yeah, KD is like the big exception to where an Achilles tear like genuinely doesn't mean anything, because KD is just a sniper from anywhere, right? What if you haven't know, like KD can just shoot it over anybody. He doesn't need to really even create any space. He can just rise over anybody and just shoot it. Now, what KD, since the Achilles tear, if you haven't noticed, KD doesn't get to the basket as often. Like, he just doesn't drive because he doesn't have as much explosiveness going to the basket anymore. But he's just a sniper from anywhere, so like it really doesn't matter too much when it comes to him. So like he's a 7-footer that can shoot over anybody, has ball handling like a guard, and he's one of the most efficient scorers in the NBA history. Like, it doesn't really matter for him. With Lillard, because he's a smaller guard that did rely on his speed and athleticism, like, he obviously can shoot it fantastically, but what made Lillard so dynamic was the fact that he can legit drive to the basket and go and finish through traffic and have insane explosive abilities at the rim. He was hella quick with the basketball in his earlier years, man. Like, Lillard was insanely quick with the basketball, and so that's gonna be limited for him. Like, his shots that he gets where he has more speed than his defender, I just don't know if they're gonna be there anymore. Smaller guards, man, when they get these Achilles tears, I really do I am scared for them, especially because he's 35. I'm really scared for Lillard's future. Yeah, we'll see. Halliburton is also an interesting case, because it's just like Halliburton also, like, he didn't get to the rim that often, but even when he did, it wasn't necessarily through like his explosiveness. It was more so with his size and length. But the thing with Halliburton that does concern me is just like, well, will you be able to like hit the step back 3-point shots that you're always able to shoot? And how are you gonna move with the basketball? Now, he's 6'6", so like he's in a better spot, but yeah, it is still a little bit concerning. Tatum is also concerning for me, but I have a little bit more faith he'll recover from it, just because he's also kind of similar to KD in a sense that he's just a sniper from anywhere. He has the size to kind of shoot over anybody. He'll probably have less ability to get to the basket consistently, but Tatum is just an absolute sniper from anywhere. So I have a little bit more faith that he'll be okay. I typed in Jadum. Yeah, I think Tatum's gonna be all right, but I think there is even a world with him also where it will affect him heavily. So I could be wrong about Tatum, and I could be wrong about Halliburton, honestly. But I think Tatum's gonna be okay. He's just got to keep this jump shot, like, in a good spot, which he had, a little bit less efficient year, but that's got to stay consistent. Any love for Jameer Young? He dropped 40. I mean, I think Jameer Young, obviously, like, he's an absolute scorer. Thing is, though, is that he didn't have a good 3 games of Summer League. His first 3 games of Summer League were not good. And then he, had to leave this game today, unfortunately. So I don't know, honestly, Jimmy Young. He's 24, like, he's on the older side. 6'1" ish, so I don't know. I think that you can find someone better personally to kind of develop, but I'd be okay if they kept him around if they can't find anyone better. If Yuki become the next Jeremy Lin, is that a lazy comp? I think that's pretty lazy. I think Jeremy Lin was much more of a slasher and kind of like a combo guard in a sense. He could kind of play the one or the two, but he wasn't really spectacular at either. Actually, that's actually bad of me to say. Like, Jeremy Lin was also a pretty good shooter, and for his day, and like he had some nice finishes at the rim sometimes, but honestly, I'm trying to remember everything back in when it came to this. But no, I do think that's a little bit of a lazy comp. Honestly, I forget. No, okay, Lin was not actually that great of a shooter. Okay, no, Lin was definitely more of a slide. Okay, sorry, I read Jeremy Lin's like book and everything, and like I always flip into my head. Like teams thought he was a shooter, and so they would get out to him at the 3-point line, but he wasn't really that much of a shooter. He was more of a slasher and can dunk it. So, no, I think that that's a lazy comp. I don't know what exactly, like, who would I compare Yuki to, like, right off the bat? Like, who's a guy that I would just like think about like right now? He's not TJ McConnell, because TJ McConnell is like a menace defensively, and McConnell doesn't shoot threes. I'm just going through like for some reason it's always just like the small guys from like Chicago just keep popping in my head, and they're just bad comps. Like he's not CJ Watson, he's not Aaron Brooks, like he's also not Jimmer Fredette. Like, yeah, help me out. I don't know what would be a good comp. Yeah, Yuki passes more. Yeah, Yuki's definitely more of a on-ball guard that can shoot the three ball, right? And he is able to get out in transition and absolutely just speed up the tempo. But his passing is what makes him Yuki, right? His passing is just at a different level compared to many other players. Lin was not that, right? Lin was more of a slasher, a guy to get to the basket, more of a combo guard. And we saw him, you know, get some finishes at the rim, right? That Yuki is not able to do. You know, play better defense that Yuki will ever play. So I think it's a little bit, that's just not the comparison. Caroline just needed a specific system, and then the brief time he had that after some players were out, he crushed it until he was traded. Well, I mean, like, but then I'm even talking about like his Houston days, right? And like, you know, even like in LA a little bit. You know, Lin actually had a really good career in Charlotte, and he was having a really good year in Brooklyn before he, I think, tore his MCL that year, which was really sad to see. But yeah, he it's not the comparison I would personally use. Yuki's more similar to maybe Ricky Rubio, lighter, so Giddey a bit, to be honest. See, I don't compare him to Giddey either, because like Giddey's not necessarily a guy that I have him like run pick and rolls and like the half court always, and like Yuki has the ability to actually make a step back 3-point shot off the pick and roll, and Giddey doesn't have that. And then obviously the rebounding is just a completely different story between the two of them. So I think Ricky Rubio is honestly pretty good, but like even Rubio was a guy that got like triple doubles. But I guess that's just kind of what we have to go off of, because it's just like we don't really have that many guys that are that small in the league. Like Yuki's also not Ish Smith. Like that's not a good comparison either. So yeah, I honestly I have a tough time. I have a really tough time to kind of figure out like what would be a really good comparison for Yuki. And it's because of his lack of height. I always want to, like, see, the other guy that keeps coming to my mind is Rondo, but, like, even then it doesn't feel right, because Rondo is, like, actually, like, he was actually, in his All-Star years, like, Rondo was an insane defender. But, like, offensively, I guess, like, that might be the best thing I can kind of think of. Like, just a guy that is just, like, he controls the game with his passing. I just want to quickly look at his G League stats here. If it will load. Thank you. Okay. But Rondo's not a good comparison either, just because, like, Rondo wasn't a three-point shooter. So yeah, I don't know, honestly. It's really tough. It's a tough comparison, because it's like, you don't want to give him a guy as, like, oh, like, if you say he's this guy, then it's like that you're giving him too much credit. Like, you're basically saying he's too good. Because, like, the guy that kind of pops in my head, honestly, is Halliburton. So, like, he's like a smaller Halliburton, but, like, that's being really generous, you know. But, like, that's kind of like the best comparison I have in my mind. It's just like, because most of Yuki's shots come from three-point range. Like, his main offensive source is being a three-point shooter. He's not a guy to get to the basket that often. But he shoots an efficient shot from three-point range, which Halliburton is that. And then most of his value is, like, passing, which Halliburton's definitely, like, Halliburton's a combination of both. Like, Halliburton is just insane on both ends, or in terms of scoring efficiency and obviously then passing. But it's just kind of where I just kind of have to go there. Like, maybe there's someone else I'm not thinking of here right now. Like, if I say Halliburton, it's just like, Oh, what that would say style-wise. It's about the amount base, tall, wing, and can score. I agree, yeah. Kyle Lowry? Ooh, Lowry honestly is not a bad call. Yeah. Kyle Lowry's honestly not a bad call. I think that's honestly, that might be the best. That might be the best comparison. Now, Lowry obviously was a better defender, but I think that's honestly a pretty good comparison. Chris Paul? No. I think Chris Paul is a little bit different. Like, Chris Paul was, like, one, obviously, his defense, but, like, Chris Paul was just, that guy can, like, legit score from anywhere on the floor. Like, not just from the perimeter. Isaiah, you spelled it like Isaiah Thomas, but I don't know if you meant that. Like, Isaiah Thomas, the Celtic Isaiah Thomas, like, he had an MVP caliber season. Like, it's not the same. You're talking about Isaiah, the Hall of Famer. That's also not right. Give me a similar style while being worse, though. I mean, I agree. I don't want to, like, get the wrong idea, because, like, I think Chris Paul is definitely not where I'm looking at. Like, I think their styles are pretty different. Where, like, Chris Paul is very much a guy that is, like, half court pick and roll, like, reading the defense, like, methodically doing everything. Yuki's definitely more of, like, I'm gonna push the tempo and you know, whiz passes everywhere. And like, Chris Paul, I guess the way I would describe it is, like, Chris Paul really creates guys to get open, right? He's a guy that draws the defense, draws two, and, like, methodically gets his guys open. Yuki is a guy that just, like, he finds the open guy and just, like, bullet passes more. We did see him a little bit more in this game, where it was like he ran the pick and roll, got doubled, and found the open man. So, like, he was creating the open shot just from his scoring ability today more, but that's not, I don't think that's more so what is going to be the typical thing of Yuki. So I think Kyle Lowry is honestly the best. I think Kyle Lowry is honestly the best comparison, because Lowry was a guy that, like, would push the ball ahead, you know, play fast, and he was a pretty good passer as well. But, you know, a lot of his shots were from three-point range. I think Kyle Lowry is honestly the best comparison. That's a really good comparison. Obviously worse than Kyle Lowry, right? Smaller and not as good of a defender as Lowry was, but I think it's a pretty good comparison. Kemba Walker's more of a scorer, yeah. to say DJ Augustine. Augustine, unfortunately, wasn't that good of a passer either, right? Like, I think Augustine was... I mean, I guess I don't really know Augustine's, like, short... Like, his Hornets years, but... In terms of shot selection, I think you're definitely right. Like, mostly three-point shots. But I don't think he was the same passer. So yeah, maybe a little bit DJ Augustine in him. Taking bends, etc. versus exploiting weakness of defense via pace, etc. Yeah, like Chris Paul is like he is the pure definition of a pick and roll maestro who, like, he can manipulate the defense with the ball in his hands. He's gonna force not just two guys to come to him, but like he's gonna also then force the rotations to happen with the ball in his hands. Like, and he'll find the open guy. He'll create the open shot for that sort of player. Yeah, Yuki's definitely more so like pace is a lot of his game. He basically kind of forces the issue and uses his tempo to create advantages. And if it's not in the open court, then it's like, how can I find an open pass for someone to, you know, get an open look, right? So I do think Kyle Lowry is probably the best comparison that I could kind of think of. And I might honestly, yeah. So I'm probably more thinking of Raptors Day Kyle Lowry. Like, I'm talking like these years for him. Like, this is the year they won the championship. But like 14 points per game, a lot of three shot, you know, average 8.7 assists per game. Like, I think this is kind of what we're looking at. Like, this sort of 2018-19 Kyle Lowry is like probably the best comparison. Earlier years, Lowry was a little bit more of a scorer, right? Like, I'm not really talking about these years specifically, but like, you know, these all-star years where he was not scoring as much, but more passing. You know, he was the third option for the championship squad, right? Or yeah, he was the third option because it was Kawhi, Siakam, then him. So this kind of makes this would, I think, be the best comparison if it was up to me. Like, even this year, like the Miami Heat Kyle Lowry year, like this is kind of also what I'm looking at, like this year. What are we talking about? We're talking about what would be the best NBA comparison for Yuki Kawamura. Yeah, that it's just kind of like the idea of it is just like, let's say the Bulls give him a two-way contract. Like, what is kind of like the idea of like what sort of player he could become? Because we were discussing earlier about like, well, we don't think the Bulls use their two-way contracts well, right? Because we're signing guys like Emmanuel Miller to like they're 25 years old. So now Yuki is 24 years old, so like he's also on the older side, but like, does he actually have a chance of like becoming an NBA player, right? Because then it's, you know, it is worth using a two-way contract on that sort of guy. And so like, what is like an actual NBA comparison that would kind of make sense? It's tough. Like, I think his path to the league, like, I can maybe see a world, but it would definitely be tough. So like, what would be like a good comparison? And it's just like, we're just kind of going through that right now. More like Kings or Suns, Isaiah. Oh man, I don't know if Isaiah Thomas is ever a guy that I would call a passer first. Yeah, I don't know if I would call this guy a passer. This guy, I think Isaiah Thomas, no matter what, has always been more of a scorer. We're straight basketball nerds. We were talking Yuki constantly 11:30 at night. I mean, hey man, like that just shows how much we love basketball, right? It's so like, let me be clear one more time to everybody, as this will be the last topic of stream here. I do have to go to bed. When it comes to Yuki, like, I do not think he's gonna, like, let's say if the Bulls sign him to an NBA contract tomorrow, like, I think that'd be a bad decision. Okay, I know a lot of people want him to, like, you know, get the NBA contract to bring him onto the squad. I don't think he's gonna next season come in and be an impactful player on an NBA team. Like, I just don't think he'd be an NBA caliber player. I just don't think he will be. But biggest things for him that I don't think like necessarily rely on him to kind of age reliant necessarily for him to become like an NBA caliber player. Like, he has the 3-point shot. Like, I can definitely see that in his game. I'm like, okay, like that's something you have, right? I'm not concerned about that. His passing is like otherworldly, right? biggest things though is just defensively, right? Like I understand he's not gonna get any bigger or taller, but he needs to find a way to be effective defensively to the point where he's not a negative. And then when it comes to the offensive end, if he can find a way to be more effective off ball, right? Because if he's gonna let's be real, if he's gonna be in the NBA, he's gonna have the ball less in his hands, because he's just not as good of a player compared to other people on the floor. So he's gonna have to find a way to kind of develop some off ball ability, whether that's being, you know, I don't know a world where he can become a better screener, but like maybe that'd be the kind of way. He won't be an offensive rebounder, obviously. The 3-point shot's there, but there's concern about it just because he's so short. Like, will he be an actual threat out there if he doesn't have the ball in his hands? Like, when he has the ball in his hands, he's able to step back and create space. Like, he gets a shot off. But in terms of him being like an off-ball threat, like, you know, running a pin down for him and like being able to shoot that, like, I don't know. But maybe he could prove me wrong there, honestly, and then he'd be more of an off-ball threat. So, he won't really be a cutting threat because he's not a big target, right? So, like, what else can you bring offensively that's, like, not him always being, like, a, you know, on, like, a godly passer on ball type of situation? That's kind of the only thing. But, I don't know. Other thing, obviously, is just be more of a threat at the basket. Like, if you're in the paint, like, can he be a threat to score? I think he needs to develop the floater game just a tad bit more. But, you know, I don't mind if he's mostly just a 3-point shooter. That's fine. I'll put another thing. I don't think it's close to others, but at least closer than Chris Paul ensures tight. Wait. Is T Young? Oh, I thought I think I would say Ty Lawson, honestly. I thought that was the guy that you're gonna go towards. This is Ty Lawson. Oh, interesting. Maybe 4th or 5th nearest on the list so far. Yeah. I think Rubio with a shot. The only thing with Rubio is just, like, I guess honestly, Rubio is probably the second best comparison. The only thing with Rubio is just, like, I think he's, like, a better rebounder and everything, but maybe I'm giving a little bit too much credit. Yeah, I could definitely accept Rubio with a shot. Like, Rubio having a 3-point shot instead of him consistently being a guy that goes to the basket. Like, yeah, I can accept that for sure. Is that a triple-double threat by being small is a big difference, for sure. Yeah. You got good at threes and running around like Curry style. That could work for him off-ball use. That's kind of like the idea. It's just like, can you have him be like a guy that could come off pin downs? Like, it would have to be something like that. But yeah. I use his speed and stamina at least as limited options. Yeah, I agree. You're right. Rubio is a better rebounding, but it's not that hard to imagine. I mean, yeah. Rubio's just taller. It makes a lot of sense that he's a better rebounder. Yeah, I could accept Rubio with a shot. I think Kyle Lowry is honestly the best comparison just because of how the play style is kind of aligned, right? Like Lowry, most of his offense, like in those like years I kind of highlighted, was like mostly 3-point shots, right? And I think Yuki will be the same. It's just mostly 3-point shots. And Lowry's assists weren't always like, you know, pick and roll like Chris Paul was. It was more like hit ahead, you know, find the open guys type assists. So, and that's not me saying that Kyle Lowry wasn't a capable, like, you know, playmaker or shot creator. Like, he's definitely capable of doing it. But he wasn't as much as like Chris Paul was, right? So, yeah. But yeah, I can accept Rubio with the jump shot instead of him, you know, being a slasher. Yeah. Let's see, man. Bulls had to make some decisions here. I think waiving Emmanuel Miller is a good decision. So I was kind of shocked that he didn't play today because I think his job's in jeopardy. But honestly, it's the Bulls. They'll probably make a bad decision at the end of the day. But we'll see. Hope Yuki gets his contract, or at least a 2-way contract from some team. I think he'll most likely get a 2-way contract. Maybe it's the Bulls, maybe it's not with the Bulls, but I think he'll get it. So I hope he gets it here. Hell of a summer league for him. The last 3 games were really, really good. But I do think that I need to call this because it's late. I have a work shift tomorrow, so I can't stay up too late here. But thank you guys so much for tuning into the last game of Summer League. I am not sure when the next stream will be, but it will most likely be on the Twitch channel because I do want to go ahead and start getting those streams in for the gaming channel. So if you have not already, go ahead and follow the Twitch channel here. This is my Twitch channel. If you have not joined the Discord, it is in the link in the description box below. If that link doesn't work, just message me somehow. Comment to me on one of my videos. But that is always available and open if you want to join the Discord. Please hit the like button on the stream, helps me out a lot. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in for Summer League post-game streams. I know the last one I think kind of ended on bad vibes, but I think for the most part the streams since the off season has started have been really great. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for keeping the vibes up well. And very clearly, I think a lot of people are having a lot of fun with the streams, so I want to keep it that way. I'll be better from what happened kind of last stream near the end. I'll be better about it. But I think that overall the streams have been fun. So I want to continue that. I'll be a major point of that. I'll make a major point of that, and make sure to keep that. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for keeping it mostly fun. It's been a lot of fun for hopefully everybody. A lot of fun for me. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Summer League games. That does conclude the Bulls Summer League for this off season here. And next up is figuring out this Josh Giddey contract, and then obviously the next Bulls basketball will be training camp. So we'll be looking forward to that. Look forward to some of the Twitch streams. We will be doing some gaming stuff there and having some fun on that channel. And look out for more NBA content videos as well on this channel. And obviously, if there are no games, I'll still find some time to stream on this channel every now and then during the off seasons, because obviously we gotta catch up on stuff. So look out for any streams. Discord will get notified. I'll also post in the community about any sort of updates when it comes to content, whether it's videos or streams, in my community posts. So go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to me, as you'll get those posts in your subscription feeds if you want to get any updates. But follow me on Twitter as well. That's in the description box if you want to see any Twitter stuff. But with that being said, appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. Thank you so much to everybody that chatted, or if you just lurked, thank you guys so much. I sincerely do appreciate it. Had a lot of fun with the Summer League post-game streams. And yeah, I'll see you whenever. All right, peace out, y'all. Be safe. Have a good night.